Welcome in, SMITE fans, to the first SMITE of 2024. We've got the SMITE World Championship group stages coming up next. You've got Frog, you've got Trelly bringing you the SMITE action. I am so excited. You got to give me your mood. Like, how are you feeling? It's early, right? But like a scale of 1 to 10, where are you at?
I mean, it's a solid 9. Once I see the gameplay, probably jumps up to a 10. It's been such a long time since we've seen some nice competitive SPL level SMITE, and
you're starting the
I'm
weekend
excited.
at a 9.
Oh yeah,
That's wow, dude. I mean, you got to be excited for how this week is going to go. At the very least, we've got a lot of teams coming through here, right? And so it's going to be starting the weekend with best of threes. You've got the bottom 4 SPL teams that you're familiar with, and then 4 SCC teams, top 2 from NA, top 2 from EU. Those are split into 2 groups, right? Each group has 2 SPL, 2 SCC teams. From those groups, we're going to be sending 2 teams to Worlds each group, so 4 teams total to round out our 8 teams in the SWC once we get there. We're going to start off with some best of threes, of course. That's our qualifying just to start the groups. And then once we get to the qualifying matches later on to send those teams to Worlds, we're going to have best of 5s. Then, of course, at the very end of the tournament, we'll have that draft to see the first seed, second seed, third seed of the teams we've already sent to Worlds. They'll get to pick the teams that they play in the first round. We can take a look at the bracket as well for the tournament. I'm thinking there's a lot of good teams in each match, right? Is going to be an SPL versus SCC team to start the weekend, right? Every single beginner match of our group is going to be SPL versus SCC. So already out the gate, these SCC teams have a challenge.
it is going to be a challenge, but you got to remember these teams. They fought their way here. They earned their spot in these matchups, and it's also tough to consider, but you got to keep it in mind. These are the SPL teams that lost, right? These are the bottom 4, so they're coming off. Sure, they might feel confident going up against the SEC teams, but the SEC squads, they had to win to get here. They've built up momentum so far in their own tournaments, so you got to be feeling a little bit strong, put some weight on your shoulders saying, hey, these guys are down here for a reason. Maybe they're not as confident, and I expect these SEC guys to come out swinging.
We just saw Group B. We can look at Group A as well. That's where we're going to be starting our day today. Our first matchup to start things off is Highland Ravens versus the GIobe Storm. And you're absolutely right. I mean, some of these teams, some of these SPL teams, we have not seen since even before we sent teams to Worlds a couple of months ago, right? The Eldritch Hounds and the Guild of Gladiators, we have not seen them since the last match of the SPL regular season. So we're going to be seeing some of these teams for the first time on this on a whole new Worlds patch that we haven't even gotten a chance. These are the first games that we're seeing on this final patch of Season X. So I mean, some good matchups coming to you. Highland Ravens versus GIobe Storm to start us off. Guild of Gladiators Hex Mambo later in the day, of course. But I think to start things off, right, we've got this matchup. Highland Ravens, I think we're one of the teams that were maybe on the edge of qualifying the Worlds, maybe that 5th seeded team that we're thinking about for. But they're going up against the GIobe Storm, and you got to think the Storm have a tough matchup ahead of them.
Yeah, in this case, you got to think that the Ravens are favored, right? They, as you said, close to qualifying, just on that precipice, couldn't quite get there. Whereas the GIobe Storm, a little bit lower seeded in the SEC, they did fight their way to get here. And I still think it is important to note that winning on your way to get here is much different than, being in the bottom 4. It's a certain confidence, it's a certain swagger that you carry to an event like this. So what I hope is that we don't see a defensive game from the Storm, right? I want to see them play their own version of SMITE. They like to get active, they like to get involved, and if they do that, sometimes you can knock the SPL squads off their rhythm.
Absolutely, we've seen it before. We've seen it countless times. For our last SWC rather, we had 2 of these SCC teams fighting for that hammer at the end of the day. And you can see here in some of the plays, I mean, a big standout player for me on the Storm has got to be Ratmilk, right? The jungler for this squad has really done a lot of the driving of their aggression and basically bringing pressure to all sides of the map. And then you see pop-off plays like that, Shipigami in that clip, Globe as well, bringing the interesting god pulls. I mean, there's something to look at every single player here on the Storm.
And that's what's important, right? You can't just show up with one guy to carry your squad. You have to have a cohesive unit. You have to have 5 gamers ready to go, and that's exactly what the GIobe Storm are trying to bring here. I echo what you're saying about Ratmilk. Definitely has been able to, control the map very well if he gets on some of those signature picks that he likes to go to, like the Ratatosker, for example. But it really is just a cohesive unit, and I think that's exactly the kind of energy you have to bring to an event like this when Worlds is your goal. When you're looking down the end of the line and, as you said, trying to lift that hammer, you can't come in and you got to give it full force.
It's shocking that Ratmilk has a signature god of Ratatoskr, right? I mean, you would never expect.
No, that makes no sense to me.
The two to come together. I like Globe's god pull as well. He's one of the few players that I think has been sticking to this Giannis pick, where we've seen, some people like it, some people don't like it. Sometimes it's in the meta. We've seen it in support. I will always go back to that game.
Nope, not me.
Either way, though, we want to hear it from the team themselves. We've got Ratmilk standing by with Gore.
That's right, and really the first thing I want to start with isn't anything to do with this event. It's how you got here, because the thing that was really interesting for both the Storm and the Wardens is that we got the bottom seeds of North America toppling the top teams and the SEC to get here. So I want to know, like, every day that run, like, how was it for you guys, and what was that experience like?
Going 0-5 in the regular season, obviously it's going to take a toll on the mentals for the boys, but really just buckled down for tourney time, and we showed up. So it was a surprise to me. I was surprised. I mean, I can't lie, but I'm just happy to be here with my team.
Yeah, the best kind of surprise, right? To end up on land with a chance to qualify for Worlds. And that kind of brings us into this, right? You're going to be going up against the Ravens. We'll talk about them in a little bit. But you're also in a group with the Gladiators and Hex Mambo, right? And so this is a time where not only have you stepped up for tourney time once, but in theory, like, if you step up this time, it could look real good for you guys. How are you feeling about the other teams in the group?
I mean, it's a very strong group. I mean, both groups are very strong. You can't lie. Bottom 4 SPL, top 4 SEC. But, I mean, you can argue the 2 EU SEC teams are SPL caliber as well. So, I mean, it's a very tough tournament. But, we're just going to play our best and, hope for the best.
And that brings us to this matchup, right? You're going up against the Highland Ravens. What are your thoughts of them as an opponent, and how do you tackle a set like this?
I mean, you look at their squad, they're a bunch of tenured professionals, right? They've been in the scene very long. So, they're bringing in a ton of experience to the set. But, I mean, we're just going to try our best, play our game. I mean, a lot of us are here for the first time. Not much really else to do, but try our best.
Awesome. Sounds like you've got a good game plan going into this. Sounds like everybody's got a good level head as well. So I'm excited to watch it and see what you guys have to offer. So good luck in your games, man. And thanks for your time.
Thank you very much.
Here from Ratmilk, that's all you can bring into the tournament, the confidence that they're coming in. They're going to play their game. They're going to not only hope for the best, but try and bring the best foot forward. But they're going up against a tough opponent. We talked about it a couple times. The Ravens, they're coming off the losses that we've talked about, right? They did not have the best showing at the previous qualifying tournament, but now they've had a couple months to regroup, want to bounce back here in this first matchup.
They absolutely do, and they have what I like to call the Zapman passive. Of course, now he has his own passive. That's different than his team passive. That's a little bit different.
Okay.
The Zapman passive on himself is he's going to feed games, but he's still going to carry late game, right?
Right.
The Zapman team passive is it's Worlds time, right? You got to remember the 3-time is sitting in that booth, which means they bring a certain level of competition to events like this, right? Sure, in the regular season didn't look too solid, and it was getting used to a roster change. Dropping Barracuda is never going to be an easy role to fill, but I have seen the Highland Ravens come into their own after a while, right? They have been able to make this team look like a completely different squad. It just took a while to get there for Hug, but now that we are, I do think the Highland Ravens do bring a certain level of gameplay that maybe you weren't expecting from a squad like this.
Yeah, I remember a time when Zapman was on a lower seeded team and made it to Worlds through the qualifying stages.
Oh, he's done that before?
And I seem to remember him doing that a couple of times.
Did he do well at Worlds when that happened?
I think he did. I think he won a couple of those World Championships. He's got a couple of those rings. So maybe trying to bring that energy in with the Highland Ravens. We are delayed a little bit because I think they tried to remake the lobby. They're putting together the picks and bans, and Haddix had Globe blocked on the other side, and so they're delaying a little bit. We're trying to get into the match. I think that maybe speaks a lot to the mental state of these players who've played before. I guess they're running into each other in ranked.
It's all that Janice in ranked. I understand. I understand. I might have done the same thing.
Oh my.
I don't blame him in this case. But hey, we're gonna get the game started at this point, and hey, as you said, maybe that plays into the matchup a bit. Haddix is like, dude, get that Janice away from my lane. I don't want to deal with him. Like, keep him over in mid lane.
Had to unblock Globe, so now we're getting ready for Pixamans, and I mean, thinking about this tick, right? We have the Highland Ravens. They got to select their first pick going into this. And this is maybe the biggest analysis point, the biggest question. These are the first matchups that we're going to be seeing on this Worlds patch. And there were some big changes that came through. If you remember those patch notes, I mean, we got a whale in the game. That's a big deal. But for this event, I'm more focused on these mage happenings. We got some nerfs there, some nerfs in the items. I mean, how do you think the meta comes through here for this qualifying tournament?
Well, I can tell you that I have been deep in the ranked queues. I've been a little goblin because I wanted to learn the patch coming up to this tournament, right? That's how I learn. I don't learn by watching. I learn by doing. I learn by playing. And if you guys remember the last time we saw SPL talent competing, there was a lot of mages in the solo lane.
Yep.
I have still seen a bit of that, but the majority has been some warriors back in the solo lane. The warriors axe change has been insane. Things like Nike have been at the top of the food chain, which usually was not the case. That was a god that completely got shut down late game by Sunder, but the strength of Nike just in lane has been so dominant in the ranked queues. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw that climb back in. You know, Poseidon was one of the top bans just because of his solo lane presence, and he took some heavy nerfs towards base damage, so you can't build him as tanky anymore. You need some DPS if you're trying to play picks like Poseidon. So picks and bans throughout, I imagine, will be a bit different. Still, Chernabog, Athena, Yemoja, these sort of gods, I imagine will be, floating in throughout the picks and bans. Not necessarily end-all, be-all, need to grab, but when you can fly the whole way across the map late game, that's never going to be bad. When you can control a team fight like Yemoja, that's never going to be bad. And turns out Taunt is just one of the best setups in the game from Athena. So
wild.
I do expect to see those gods as well.
Yeah, I mean, some of those powerful picks, I would agree with you. I don't expect a ton to change in some of those other roles, duo lane, mid lane, maybe keeping some of those ideas. Maman as well, right? New to our last tournament, now has maybe gotten some small nerfs, but has also gotten a lot more time for these players to understand how you might want to play around this Maman Brigitte. But, I mean, you're absolutely right. Warriors may be coming back to the solo lane. I've seen a lot of Kukulkan. I've seen a lot of Achilles, a little bit of Surtur as well. I mean, we could definitely see some interesting picks. And you mentioned it when we were talking about the GIobe Storm. Some spice could come out here, right? You obviously want to come out, you want to play your game. You don't want to play a defensive style. You don't want to let the Highland Ravens decide the pacing of this one. And maybe the first place to do it, if you're the Storm, is in picks and bans. Do you think we see any potential spice or uniqueness coming from this Storm squad?
I hope so, Frog, and I'll tell you why. When you play, and again, you highlighted it already, we are on a new patch, which means the meta is not really cemented just yet, but when you play, when you're an SEC team and you're trying to play to an SPL team's level, you haven't proven yourself quite yet, you haven't been able to make that leap to the Pro League, playing the same style that they are playing can sometimes be difficult because usually the big differential between these squads is the farm game. The SPL teams can play the map so much better. They're just more confident on it. So are you trying to play to their style and do it better? That's going to be difficult. But if you play, whip out some spice, as you said, if you go for a different pick, they're not expecting something they haven't practiced against, that's when you can really knock them off their rhythm. So I do hope we see the GIobe Storm, pull out something interesting.
Picks and bans for game number 1 here, and we'll get to see if they want to pull out some spice, if they want to just stick to their identity. We're going to look at the Ravens first. As we mentioned, they got the pick choice here. They chose this first slot. And you have to imagine they've done research into their team as well. Highland Ravens, it's been more than a month since we've seen them play, but they got to see the Storm play in the tournament just, last month in December. They've gotten to see how this squad likes to play, what they like to prioritize. So as we start to see these picks and bans roll through, I expect some of those top picks, as you mentioned, the Athena and the On-Her may be coming through, but also some targeted picks, the Ratatosker taken away from Ratmilk.
I mean, Rat is one of the strongest junglers in the meta currently, but you gotta feel like that one hurts a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like, Ratmilk not getting his namesake, that one is gonna be a little bit unfortunate. Still, though, the Nike and the Athena do come through for the GIobe Storm. This is definitely those ranked bans I was talking about. Still powerful picks, but stuff that is going to be annoying in the hands of Haddix. You don't really want to deal with that lane presence, so I can understand the bans there. But the Highland Ravens, it seems to me like they're trying to go for a first pick here. What they're setting up for depends on this last ban, which is going to be the Maman, a pick that was very strong, had some faults. It wasn't as if she's unkillable, right? She certainly can die, but the damage output of this character can be so annoying that a lot of teams just don't want to deal with her. This could be telling for the Highland Ravens, though. In first pick, and it's not something they value. Maybe just, something they were afraid the SMITE Storm would get their hands on.
It could definitely lean towards where they want to go with the draft. Notable picks, Chernobog still up and available. Yemoja still up and available. Storm might choose to ban away one of those, could choose to ban away a third option, as we also think about, I'm like stuck in the realm of, we saw so many popular mages, Raijin, Morgan Le Fay, but I'm not sure we see those as ban categories anymore, because I don't know that they have the same prowess in the solo lane. So those still up, of course, but we'll have to see if those are valued at all. I'm thinking of the Ravens draft and, changes we talked about a little bit, Warriors coming back in. This is a team with Scream, right? This is a team where we've seen Scream play the Osiris, the Gilgamesh, the Surtur. So, I mean, they could try and value maybe a more hybrid composition here as things round out. But this is not one that I was expecting. The Wheelish band away, and they go instantly to the Thor.
Yeah, this is where I was thinking we'd see the value between either Yemoja or the Chernobog. I think the SMITE Storm let it through on purpose just to see what the Ravens would go towards, and in this case, it is going to be the Thor as that first pick. Something that Scream can certainly pilot. He's looked very strong on it, but like I said, with the Warriors Axe changes, it's not as if you can't go for the Jotun start into a Warriors Axe on Thor solo as well. I don't think it's the safest call, which is why we see a possible Wukong hover, but immediately into the Baron and the Wukong as an answer back.
You see Haddix smiling there on the camera. They have to have had this cooked up, right? This is not what do we play today? Like, they have been both teams really been planning for this draft. The Highland Ravens, maybe some interesting. That Baron Samedi is, man, I got to imagine it's going support. We've seen it there more than ever. Could maybe make its way into the mid lane role as the draft rounds out. But on the other side, this is, that's a top three that your mouth is watering over there at the SMITE Storm. Like, that is Yemoja, Baba Yaga. We've seen all season. Achilles maybe coming back into the fray in this patch. That's got to be a top three they're happy about.
Yep, a pretty strong top three, no doubt. Baron has been a pretty consistent answer to Yemoja, though. The Riptides just don't get you away from life of the party. Like, the laning phase can be disastrous once level 5 comes around. Wrap it up into the ultimate. Either forces Yemoja into beads, or you got to worry about the follow-up afterwards. So I'm curious to see what Zapman goes to. You still have the Hachiman, which is a pretty solid grab no matter what, just very safe in the current meta, so I'll be looking towards the bans there, but it's also decent follow-up to that CC that Baron can provide. I'm liking the dive as well, though. Thor and Wukong to the backline, double dunk squad pretty much. It's not as if Wukong provides that same level of CC off the dunk, but Somersault Cloud can definitely get you there. Second wave of bans come through, but the Highland Ravens, they're also happy with this top three. Make no mistake, this is a very aggressive early game focused composition.
Bans come through. Thoth and Zeus taken off the board for the SMITE Storm. Maybe worried about Venenu pulling out that Zeus. And then some assassins taken away from the Highland Ravens, still targeting out Ratmilk. As we see, I think the SMITE Storm might be wise to sort of hold on to Ratmilk's pick right now towards the end of the draft. Maybe you grab your ADC here in this 7th pick, and you get at the end. Chernobog is still on the table. I don't know if the teams have forgotten about him. I don't know if he's just fallen off. Global pressure still feels great to me. I'd love to have
Ishtar,
the ADC that can just join a fight at any time. I'd also love to have constant, unrelentless damage from this Ishtar, though. That is an aggressive pick coming out for the ADC from the Storm. And now I think they do get the chance to hold on to that jungle pick for the last one.
Yeah, I think the mindset here is, Chernobog's going to be fantastic late game, but sometimes you just want to get online early and not let that come through. With Thor, with Wukong, you don't necessarily need to lean towards the late game. So I we see the Rama hover, and it's locked in. So you still have fantastic clear to try and match that of the Ishtar, but late game hyper carry, man. That's what Rama can bring. That's exactly what Ishtar can bring as well. So I'm liking the matchups in the duo lane specifically. The Cuckoo locked in as well, though, for Ben. This is a pick that he has loved time and time again. I got to go towards ranked as well. Certainly been annoying for a lot of teams to deal with. This Cuckoo has been something that I thought would come into the meta a bit earlier when Breastplate and Book of Thoth came back in, but still very strong, very consistent damage, objective clear. Objective confirm, just almost uncontested, especially in a matchup like this. But you got to worry about that CC, and when Hunbats gets locked in, there's definitely going to be some CC.
Yeah, they hold on to that jungle pick for the last one, and they see no CC immunity from the mid laner gets picked up. And everybody else, all that CC immunity comes from the ultimate. So you gotta imagine there's gonna be some focus here from Ratmilk trying to use that Fear No Evil in the fights. But I mean, I'm looking at these two drafts, and I'm immediately, my mind goes towards the early game, because we've talked a little bit about the SPL versus SCC difference, that farm game. If you let a game go late, sometimes we've just seen the SCC teams getting out-farmed, getting out-rotated, getting out-objective played. And so if you're the GIobe Storm, I'm almost a little bit worried that you've gone for the Hun Batz, because not as much early pressure there.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's something to fear, because the Highland Ravens have a composition that they can just, you know, out-farm you across the map, go to Gold Fury the second they get a chance. You backed on a ward, or you get poked out, drop Spear of the 9 Winds, confirm that Gold Fury, go back to farming, and then sort of repeat the process. Then they go over to Pyromancer, then they go to Fire Giant, and suddenly you're 10,000 gold down and you didn't even get a chance to fight back. So the GIobe Storm are going to have to bring as much as they can to sort of stop that early pressure. The Hun Batz isn't going to do it. It's going to take time. He needs Fear No Evil, so at level 5, Ratmilk can control the map a bit better. But it's going to be very difficult to match that rotation pressure of the Thor, right? Being able to just go halfway across the map whenever you like, and Scream, he doesn't miss much.
Yeah, I mean, you have to ask the question, how do the Storm try and play this early game? The Hun Batz may be something that can help out with those ganks, but, I mean, these side lanes both have some aggressive options as well that they could try to play through. Where do you think the Storm end up trying to push that pressure?
I imagine they're going to look towards the duo lane. They've got Yemoja, they've got Shipigami, who can certainly hard carry a game if he gives a little bit of space. The Ishtar isn't going to have much problem trying to clear as well. And when you have clear like that with those big AoE auto attacks, you can group up the buffs very easily. You can look towards that shield buff, and then once you get pressure, you can let your Hun Batz come over and say, hey, we've got gank opportunities, or just completely ignore us. We've got this lane on lockdown. You go elsewhere. So it can work out in both ways, but if they're trying to find an early gank, duo lane's probably going to be the play, because Wukong is just so hard to lock down.
Yeah, I mean, tough to gank over there, and we'll see if Achilles is able to even to get that pressure, but we are good for game number 1 right around the corner. GIobe Storm, Highland Ravens. We'll throw it over to the casters, Gore and Mifflin.
Thanks so much, Frog and Trelly. That's right, it's Gore, it's Mifflin, of course. It's going to be Doug giving us the view into game 1. And Mifflin, I'm torn. A, I'm just really excited to be back. B, I'm real excited for this matchup. We're getting 2 worlds, man. And it's going to start here with the qualifiers. And this is a really fun draft, I think, from both sides, right? I'm really excited to see what the Storm have to offer for us, especially coming from some of the lower-ended seeds of the SCC to topple everyone they did. They already did the impossible. And so now I'm just wondering if they can do it again.
Yeah, how far can they take it? You know, Gore, I really wasn't expecting to see this many Warriors this quickly in the event.
Right?
I know Warrior items are much better now. Warrior's Axe, of course, getting some buffs, all those defensive items a little bit better than they were previously. But I think it's that Typhon's Fang nerf that has really removed those mages from solo. And that's why we're seeing mages in mid that aren't exactly going to be building any sort of lifesteal. We got standard Baba Yaga and Kukulkan. That's a stacking game. That's a slow game. See in about 15, 20 minutes once their ultimates are 100 to 0ing. Until then, just farm, just hang out. So I think I agree with the desk a bit. Keep your eyes on jungles for early rotations. Scream in particular has got the potential to just absolutely run this map. But also the duo lane, secretly aggressive on both sides. Hapn and Shipigami not hiding their hands at all. That is an aggressive duo. But between Ram and Baron, I feel like there's some secret little sauce in there. There's some potential for some early kills.
I'm just a sucker for Ram play, right? And it's mainly the flashy ultimate.
Oh, hold up.
We're even getting Hapn getting aggressive walks and
close.
not able to steal away the purple, but like you said, close. And a good effort, right, for the Storm to step up. That was actually something I was wondering about with this squad, because for a lot of them it's the first time actually getting into be on land. And I was wondering how that was going to affect them, especially going up against a bunch of veterans. But Mifflin, as far as gameplay is concerned, they seem to be stepping up just the same way they were a few weeks ago during the qualifiers. Might cause some trouble, as you said, aggression in the duo lane. And a quick pause here over there by Haddix. That's another thing that kind of, you know, Wukong was, I want to say borderline. It was kind of, if all the mages that are really good in solo are banned and just not available, yeah, you know what, maybe grab me a Wukong and we'll see what we can do. But he wasn't necessarily doing too much, even just like 3 or 4 weeks ago. Now going for it early, it feels like it can be aggressive, feels like it can work well with the Thor. But do you expect to see a lot on the right-hand side of the map, or is it going to be mainly duo lane?
I feel like it is duo lane. That solo lane matchup is really hard to get things rolling in. Before level 5, plenty of kill pressure if a jungler shows up. After level 5, Sun Wukong's essentially the god of safety and doesn't exactly have enough CC lockdown, I think, to make things happen on his own. And with the global presence of Thor, probably just want to play a little bit elsewhere on the map. So opportunities for the Storm to try and shut down Wukong pre-Somersault Cloud, but once it's there, you can kind of just leave that guy alone.
Yeah, that's the hard part, right? Is he's what we call him, the god of running away. Like, he's really,
like season
good.
8.
Yeah, but like, he's the best way to say it is god of survivability. Maybe now is the better way to say it. Is he just lives so long. Him and Camazotz are on that list. And so that is going to be maybe a challenge for Ratmilk. But it was pointed out, the Desk had kind of mentioned, Ratmilk with a small advantage in that most of the CC immunity on board in game right now, outside of beads, is just on ultimates for a lot of these guys. Unfortunately for Ratmilk, a lot of them also have beats, so you have to be able to time it and you have to use it. And as we've seen, that cooldown, even with Jotuns, pretty long for a Hunbatz to try and work with, whereas Thor, you can see there, double tap, good damage. And that, I guess, is kind of leaning into why you said Scream could probably run the show.
Yeah, Scream has a lot of potential to set pace out of the jungle, but to go into the Hunbatz issue, when I see Hunbatz on a team, my immediate question is, who else is burning beads? Is there potential for someone else to do it to make it easier for Ratmilk? And the answer is simply just yes. Tegveer can do it on the Achilles pretty easily with that first ability. Yemoja has no cooldowns, and a lot of her cooldowns are CC, so should be able to at least burn off some of those relics. And even Shipigami, once he ticks over to level 5, for the most part, going to be single target, can maybe get those beads off of Zapman, but it's more likely we see Zapman use that ultimate in response. But even just having those 2 or 3 guaranteed CCs on the side of the Storm just simplifies Ratmilk's game so much, because we've seen team compositions in the past where it's Hunbots or bust. That's the only thing that's going to burn relics away. It's the only threat we have. And you go through, you burn the beads, and you say, well, I can't exactly rotate back to the duo lane while those beads are down because I have to clear right side jungle, defend my blue buff. That's not going to be an issue here for the Storm. I trust them to be able to find some sort of opportunity to get Ratmilk some value ultimates early on.
Now, the real question is just going to be where and when. Because like you said, it's going to be relatively slow for a lot of them. If you're stacking, admittedly, Globe's passive might help a little bit with it, but Vin's not going to be looking for too much outside of the ult. It really is just duo where a lot of that damage is going, and we've seen so far the healing from Yemoja has been a godsend for Shippigami, at least in terms of keeping them topped off. Junglers haven't been doing too much. Scream now, at least getting a little evasive and a little aggressive, goes in. Good double tap onto Tegveer, and that might assist in securing a blue buff if it weren't for the fact that Ratmilk already there, already dropped, and making sure to keep the solo lane ahead. And that was the other half of this conversation. We're only 3 minutes in, so there's definitely time for this conversation to veer left or right. But one of the biggest issues I feel like we've always seen from SCC teams going up against SPL teams has been farm in general. And the best sign right now, I would say, for the Storm is they haven't really been losing out too much on the neutral objectives. Been able to keep this close. In fact, they might go for a little bit more. Hurry's getting low. They've got the damage. They've got to dash forward, but they don't have enough chase. And Zapman's going to be enough to thwart them away, and Hurry walks out of that one with his life.
Hurry lucky that Zapman's playing with his head on a pivot there. Able to turn himself around, peel out for his support. That was a dangerous situation. The Storm had Shinigami's dash connected, likely guarantee themselves that first blood. Got to play careful over in that duo lane. And one of the unique matchup interactions in this duo is you've got constant healing from Hapn, but there is some level of sustain from Hurriwind as well to match up with it, but it's conditional sustain off of hitting your targets.
Well, there's going to be the River's Rebuke. They lock down a lot of damage onto Zap and Hurry, but they don't have enough to get the kill yet. Ratmilk hanging around the side, and unfortunately for Ratmilk, I think caught out by Vision. They're not going to be playing any aggressive here on the Ravens. They're going to stay under the tier 1, get some poke while they can, and maybe even go for a little bit more. Hurry goes up into the ult now, drops down, and there's first blood. Happen secures that one. Zap up into the sky, some shots to return it, but you can't do much about it. Storm, first one's on the board.
Ratmilk so patient there, hangs out for so long. I thought the Highland Ravens were maybe aware of him being there, and should have been, considering there's that bit of vision in the jungle, but instead say, I'll just pull him in, we'll get our kill real fast and disengage Unfortunately for the Ravens, it's Hapn who's pulled into the tower, who doesn't even have to use his bead score. Holds on to the relic, so there's no way for Scream to rotate through easily. If Hurriwind wants to pull him in again, he's going to have to burn through that relic once more. That was high commitment from the Ravens, utilizing both their duo ultimates, and they come up empty-handed.
And being able to get that first blood, maybe even looking for a little bit more. Tegveer has Ratmilk. Again, no ult here for the Hunbats, but the damage is what you're looking for. Overhand smash helps to get a little bit, but Scream getting aggressive, and with Haddix coming back in, that has to be retreat for the Storm. Have to admire the tenacity, but you have to be worried right now. Blue buff coming in, and that's going to be a simple invade. Vin has rotated over. Slowly we're getting Globe to match it. There's not going to be too much to be said about the pressure. Invade successful for the Ravens. Hapn just getting bullied in lane. Going for the purple buff and answering back, right? When you play aggressive like this, Myth, it's something that you got to see, and they're going to be successful in stripping that one away from the Ravens. So far, first blood, purple buff, invade, dual lane, looking great for the XIBALBA Storm.
It's a concerning trend, though, in that XP chart, though, isn't it? I mean, gold largely even. But with things starting to veer in control now of the Highland Ravens, that pace starting to pick up a bit. We got a level just about in the jungle, half a level in mid. Scream makes the re-rotation over towards solo, shuts down Tegveer, who has gone for a very aggressive build. Jotun's Wrath first item, that seems to be the meta right now. Keep my eyes on ranked, but it does make you very susceptible to early rotations, whereas Haddix going down that hammer tree has just a little bit more tank stat line to play with and already safer on the Sun Wukong.
Snipes from Zap, not looking for kills. Maybe a small invade opportunity, but not finding that either. The big question that actually is standing out to me, you know, we've seen and gone through a lot of like variety. Obviously, both the junglers have gone for the Jotuns, right? You've got both stacking items for mid laners. But support, it felt like for a while, got very static. Now we have a prophetic being built into again, which I feel like we haven't seen as much. Definitely seen more Thebes. Maybe it's just been a little while. We'll hold that thought. There's going to be the fear no evil.
Oh,
the execute
no!
misses. Oh no, Tegveer off the mark.
Yikes.
Haddix is going to go up into the somersault cloud. He's going to live through this one. The Storm going to be kicking themselves all day for that drop.
Tegveer is not going to get many opportunities like that. You have to secure those kills. I mean, it was perfectly placed. Ratmilk puts out the CC just in time, and there was time to line up the shot. Haddix had zero opportunity to get up into the air to avoid the fatal strike. He just had to juke it, puts S key down for half a second, and just gets out of there.
Little bit of damage in mid from Globe. If they're going to be feeling that. Look, for Tegveer, what, bullied out of lane, right? Blue buff invaded, comes back to lane, gets killed, comes back to lane, drops the kill there. Solo has definitely got a little more out of hand. You can see it as the moment is, 2 levels. Maybe a little less than that, maybe a level and a half, but Tegveer is definitely struggling. Screams back over here. You've got Vin rotating in.
Blue again.
And it seems like the Ravens have isolated where they want to be, and they've figured out their strategy for it. Now what can Ratmilk and the rest do? With no ultimates, the answer's nothing. Blue buff taken by the Ravens, stolen away. And it seems like the pressure on right is going to get out of hand for the Storm. Now on left, you got the River's Rebuke. Zapman up into the sky, snipes. Raining down, getting some damage onto Shippigami. Good stun from Hurry, but now you need to win the boxing match, and Zapman's done enough of these. Goes forward, finds one, and now they're just locking down Hapn. How good are the body blocks? How good is the damage? It's a slow burn, but the Yemoja, maybe they're going to let through just because of Ratmilk's presence. Vin is rotated in. Hapn gets to walk out of here. Gets low because the minions, but it's still a 1-kill turnaround for the Ravens.
Shouts Hurriwind for that one. That play brought to you exclusively by him. Used the ultimate into the wall just to make sure that he isn't affected by CC. Turns it around, weaves the bullet, catches Shippigami, burns those beads real early on as well. I mean, great stuff. And that's XIBALBA Storm trying to get aggressive in the duo lane because Soul Lane is going so poorly. You gotta have somewhere on the map where you can reliably put your pressure, where you can reliably generate threat, maybe even move in towards the Gold Fury or go for an invade to match what you're losing out on the right-hand side. So I respect Hapn and Shippigami for the attempt. Just unfortunately for them, the OGs win out on this one. Hurriwind and Zapman looking real good there. And no need for the rotation from Scream. Ven maybe could have secured the kill onto Hapn, but with Ratmilk covering nearby, as you said, just don't want to risk it. Don't want to give up a lead that's already established in the center of the map as well. So small win for the Highland Ravens, and this has always been the concern between SPL and SEC. It's never really the, hey, we just dominated the entire game. It's these slow accumulations of wins of, oh, I got the right camps, I got your blue buff, oh, we got a stray kill, and all of a sudden, gold and experience starting to get a little crazy.
Yeah, 2,000 gold over for the Ravens, and you had already mentioned the experience earlier, but it stays out of hand for a lot of them.
Oh, it got way worse.
3,600. A lot of that's on the right-hand side of the map, as we saw level 12 to 12. 9 to 8 for the support, so Hurry with a small lead there. Scream going up into the sky, maybe looking for the Baba Yaga.
Globe's got no idea.
Gonna get stunned out by this one just on the edge, but you can't really escape this. Great stun, great double tap, and another great kill for the Ravens.
I mean, that's so smart from Scream. So often we see Thor just go immediately into the combo. Scream says, he's gonna beat the ult. I'll just hold the rest of it for after the jump. Catches him easily. Globe shut down into the stun.
No. The damage almost there, but Ratmilk manages to get out of that. I can't believe he's alive. Ult from Vin thrown down at him. Scream with a great stun, but they TKO him, knock him back to the base. That's going to give him a little bit of pressure, and Hurry is going to use that pressure. Goes for Shinigami, forces the dash, forces the CC immunity from the ult, and forces Shinigami to fall back under the tower. Hapn as well, and that's just off of Hurry. That doesn't include Zap or the fact that Vin was hovering around in the jungle. You can see the Ravens. Well, they're sniffing for blood, and they're out to find something. Ratmilk might be the one. No beads just yet, level 10. Have to be careful if you get caught out by Scream. Stun, double tap,
miserable.
Wall's good, but there's going to be the Fear No Evil. Can you win this matchup? Up to the sky goes Scream. And how aggressive are you feeling? Not enough to chase down the Hunbats, but enough to go in one more time on Globe. Goes into the ult on the other side. Damage dropped down and drops Vin. Stun good for Hapn. And now the chase is on. You just need one more shot. Zap's going to find that no problem. They managed to take up one, despite losing their mid lane.
The Highland Ravens getting real aggressive on the map there. We're just waiting out that green buff spawn. We're seeing if they could potentially catch anyone. Speaking of a catch, Shinigami, he's He's just dead. If he could buy some time, he might be able to prevent the Gold Fury, but he does not make it out of here alive.
Well, right now, buying time has Zap and Scream paying attention. Nobody's looking at the Gold Fury. And somebody, okay, they had to secure it somewhere. Maybe there was a discussion who was going to get it. Maybe Zap thought he was going to go under the tier 2. But Haddix gets the kill, and a kill nonetheless. So now they've got pressure left side. They've got pressure right side. They've got gold lead. A lot for the Storm to try and fight back into. But Mifflin, as we've kind of seen, while this is an uphill battle for him, there's definitely still moments of greatness. I'm looking at Ratmilk's ult, and more specifically, I'm looking at what they could do maybe if they're more grouped up and not getting isolated.
Yeah, the team fight's going to look good for the Storm, but you have to make sure that your head is still above water by the time you get to that team fight. And level disparity is starting to really establish in the jungle and the solo lane. 2 levels out of the jungle, 2 levels out of solo as well. So the front line, I think, for the Highland Ravens is going to be a massive contention factor for them. XIBALBA STORM, not exactly a peel-heavy team. Hapn can do some of it, but he's also a major part of the initiation. So I could see a world where Globe is just praying that he gets tanky enough from Prophetic and third slot that he can survive a dunk from Scream, that he can deal with the 72 transformations from Haddix. All the while, you have to pray that your own front line is also having similar levels of success on their dive. And that's pretty difficult to do with Tegveer as far behind as he is, and he hasn't exactly gotten tanky just yet. Glad Shield in second slot.
Yeah, and you had kind of mentioned this, but the build earlier, well, you had said this is maybe something that's more consistent with what you've been seeing. Like, it feels like Tegveer, now behind in level and less tanky in build, is going to take a long time to get into that conversation, whereas Haddix not only has been rotating over, he's been very helpful, not for this Gold Fury that started up by the Ravens, but they're going to hold on to it for a little bit, drop it about halfway, looking for a stun. Hurry finds that no problem on to Hapn. Damage spread out by the Ravens, but a good dunk comes down from Scream, and again, it's locking up the support. Still alive, though, and it's Hurry who loses his life first. Ratmilk goes to the back, gets a massive ult, but needs some follow-up for his team. Haddix rotates in the teleport. Strong, and the snipes from Zap enable a re-engage from the Ravens. Now Shinigami locked down, isolated at the wall. Globe, no answer to be had. The Ravens want to make sure this is a statement, and it's a triple kill for Scream to make sure it's an exclamation point.
The XIBALBA STORM needed that rotation from Tegveer, but his teleport's down, and he had just walked back to lane. Haddix forces him back, teleports into the fight, and completely separates the engagement. Had the XIBALBA STORM been allowed to disengage off the kill from Hurriwind, they would have been just fine. They likely lose the Fury, but they at least get their 1 kill and don't lose out on the entirety of their team. But because Haddix is behind them, the only way out is forward. The only way XIBALBA STORM makes it out of their lives is if they kill the people directly in front of them. And unfortunately for them, did not quite have the damage output. Ratmilk's ultimate, great to disrupt that initiation from the Ravens, but you needed to be a little bit better from this far behind. Wasn't quite able to get onto those priority targets, and you only get Hurriwind. Support for 4 and Gold Fury, that's a trade the Ravens will take.
Yeah, Hurriwind's happy with it. He'd do it again if he could, but he's going to have to wait, I guess, at least 5 minutes. Pyromancer's up, though, giving this moment as we start to approach the 15-minute mark. It's 9-3, a 6-kill lead for the Ravens, about 6K gold as well. If they can get the Pyromancer, it'll go over. So they need a little bit of an answer from the Storm. You can see the grouping, 4 and about to be 5 for the Ravens, 4 for the Storm. So they set up for it. Pyromancer started. Scream up to the sky, going to be looking for a little bit of vision. Is anybody trying to get close? He might just go on Globe anyway. Damage is great. No tower to run to, but the stun just a little short from connecting. Doesn't matter. They get the Pyro. And like you said, they're going to start up the fire. They've got Vin. They've got the ult. They might not have too much to worry about. Haddix going for the zone immediately. You can see Hapn, Tegveer, Globe trying to walk in. River's Rebuke goes up. They've still got eyes on the FG health. It's getting low. Watch Venenu for the ult. Throws it out. Storm managed to take that one away, and they get a kill onto Hurriwind. Globe is not going to make it out of this one, but the steal makes it massive. Now Tegveer looking for the retreat. Haddix rotates in, needs to find something. Try to get the FG off a couple more belts, but Tegveer is going to walk out of there. A good stun creates the distance, and the tier 2 secures the deal. They lose 1, but they steal away the FG.
XIBALBA Storm had 0 fight there. With Globe having no beads going into the engagement, you had to walk through Haddix. The Highland Ravens get to hold on to Spirit of the Nine Winds through Pyromancer, all of that, and still somehow, some way, Hapn makes his way into the Fire Giant pit and steals it with 82 damage on that first ability. Unfortunate timing for the Highland Ravens, who had played it incredibly well up until that point. I believe it's burning the beads off of Globe that essentially guarantees the Fire Giant pool. Unfortunately for the Ravens, 80 damage is all that separates them from a clean win there. Hurriwind trades out his life. XIBALBA Storm allowed to disengage. There's no Haddix TP into the back line, so Storm don't have to worry about who they're walking through. They just walk out. But with all that said, it would have been a 15-minute Fire Giant regardless. Yeah. XIBALBA Storm are still very far behind. This might be just enough for them to maybe pressure a tier 1 tower. They could show up to that Gold Fury, see if they can find a pick to set up for the objective, but this is not group up, start sieging Fire Giant. This is, okay, we just bought ourselves 5 more minutes.
Really, the thing that could be the opener, and maybe like you said, it's going to be more easily said than done. But first off, I see 6-0-3. If you kill Scream, that's a huge bounty. But really, the tower line, right? All 3 tier 1s missing. There's about 1,000 gold in tier 1s still up for the Ravens. So small ways for the Storm to try and make their way back into this. But like you said, it's a 15-minute Fire Giant. You've gone from almost 6K down to hovering just under 4K down.
Way better.
And you know, like you said, way better. Still struggling in experience. 2 levels for solo, 3 levels in the jungle. And so my eyes are on Ratmilk because that was a huge contention point to see what could be provided for the Storm and the setup.
What we haven't seen from the Storm yet, Gore, is a true 5-on-5 engagement. We've seen a 4v5 where Tegveer's not at the Gold Fury. We've seen a 4v5 on Fire Giant where Shippigami's split pushing. We have not seen all 5 members of the Storm with a great team fight composition together and fighting together, leveraging, you know, all their ultimates stacked on top of each other, have Shippigami burn some beads, then Ratmilk can go in, have Tegveer separate the engagement so that Globe isn't getting free casted on by Scream in every single fight. There are ways for the XIBALBA Storm to leverage their composition that we just haven't seen yet. This Gold Fury would be a great start.
Well, they started it. Zap up in the sky looking for snipes, finds the shot he needs. And just like the FG was taken from them, the Ravens will steal this Fury. Now the fight, though, the follow-up Venenu is the goal, and Venenu is found. Ratmilk's low, though, has to be careful. You're getting pincered by the Ravens. Tegveer goes for the execute, but no, he doesn't connect. Zap walks out of there. Ratmilk's low. Ratmilk's gone. Scream dunks into the back, and now they've got the chase. The chase for Tegveer works out as he gets Zapman, and now you've got a numbers advantage. 4v3. The carries are gone, and Hurry is about to join them in the black screen. Now the chase. Can you get rid of Scream, or are you going to turn your attention elsewhere? It seems elsewhere is the call, and Myth, they're going to start looking to push some towers.
Tier 1 tower, maybe you go in towards the tier 2, but with Pyromancer spawning, it'll be a much easier target. Only 3 there, and so the Storm will fall back towards that jungle. Keep your eyes on Scream, though. He should be at least spotted out by Tegveer. Tegveer likely gets an audio cue that his blue buff just gets knocked down, so knows someone's on the right-hand side. But kills aren't the concern for the Storm. They need to find something to close up that golden experience gap, and an objective will go a long way to do exactly that. Pyromancer in pocket. You can evaluate the value of it when that runic bomb goes down. Hapn holding on to that one. But it's the Highland Ravens now getting put in check, isn't it? They're struggling in these team fights. They're willing to engage, but the SMITE Storm with Fire Giant, asterisk, with Fire Giant, was still able to fight back in from a massive deficit. And all of a sudden, that massive deficit's cut once more. This next Fire Giant isn't as guaranteed for the Ravens. One mistake on Secure may have cost them a lot here.
Well, and the biggest difference, I think much to the point you made just a couple minutes ago, all 5 of the Storm were there, right? Like, that's the first time we've actually gotten to see all 5 of them in one place. You get a massive ult from Ratmilk. Like, it feels really good. And so, more of that. I was going to highlight the tower, but admittedly in the gold deficit department, the Tier 1 tower gold maybe not making as big of a dip as, say, you know, the Pyromancer did. Admittedly, the Storm would have loved to get that Fury, but the Ravens stripped it away. But pressure on map, right? Now all of a sudden you've got some Tier 2s open. You've got maybe more of a conversation for the Storm, as you had mentioned, after this Fire Giant. And so this becomes the bigger question. Who has better Fire Giant pit control in a neutral area?
Space control is intriguing, and so often we evaluate that by looking at the mages on either side. Who's got better poke, who's got more range. Both mages have a really good poke here, so it's a little bit harder to say. So then when you look at ease of initiation, and then you got to talk about Hapn. These Riptides are going to force so much.
Oh, it's been doing so much already. River's Rebuke forces Hurriwind into an awkward spot. Unfortunately, going to find much, but that's huge. Vin drops the ult, doesn't connect on anything, but that's the secure for the Ravens gone, and Storm were able to steal the last FG despite that ultimate. Now, with it unavailable, might be the opportunity to go forward, but they want to pick. They're looking for a little more. They fight Hurry. They CC him. They push him against the wall and just lock him down exactly the way they need. Now Haddix goes in the back. Ratmilk's in a little bit of trouble, but the team comes in. Good dunk from Scream. Again, damage onto Shippigami, but they're finding just as much back. They force Scream out of there. Barely any health, but the jungler stays alive. Numbers advantage to the Storm. Health advantage right now to the Ravens as they move forward. Haddix looking for a little bit, finds Shippigami, and that is the great disengage. Walk away, 1 for 1, and keep the numbers the same.
I mean, the desynced death as well means now it's the Highland Ravens with advantage around Fire Giant. Even if the Storm could fight back in, it's 30 seconds without their objective DPS. You need Shippigami there if you're not going to knock down Fire, or a tower, or a Gold Fury, or anything for that matter. And so, like a scalpel, Haddix removes the threat from the XIBALBA Storm, buys his team just a little bit of time to regroup. What do the Ravens do with that time? They're 5 strong. Takes 15 seconds on respawn, about 10 seconds to walk from base to either neutral objective. Thought we'd see the Ravens go for an immediate pull onto the Fire Giant. Instead, it's on the left side of the map. And that might be influenced a bit by just how much vision the XIBALBA Storm have around the Fire Giant. Can't exactly sneak it away when there's 6 wards just in the pit itself.
Yeah, and that's not even including, what, I think I see 7 and 8 deeper in the jungle. Yeah, you've got plenty of vision for the Storm. So instead, you know, this play, nobody from the Storm is on the left-hand side of the map. You grab the Fury, you grab the Beacon, you unleash the Titans. 30 seconds, they're going to be running down the right side of the map. And so you give yourself another point of contention and, admittedly, just more gold in pocket, right? That's been the biggest thing for the Ravens, it feels like. This gold lead has not really gone under 3,000 for like
They've controlled the game.
Minutes. Yeah. So really, they have been in the lead. They've been in control. The items show that. And this is really where power spikes come through, because now you've got level 20s online with upgraded starters on the Ravens versus still 19 looking for a little more on the Storm.
Yeah, but take a peek at some of the relics on the Ravens as well. Scream has been getting really aggressive with these dunks. 60 seconds till he can do that. Both Beads and Aegis synced cooldown there. Shippigami, similarly on the other end, recipient of that dunk last time around, has his relics burned at the exact same time. So expect a slower pace to this fight. Maybe the Ravens can pull the objective if Haddix is going to be a stone wall standing between his team and the Storm, but if a fight comes their way, the Ravens still do have to put some respect on the damage output.
We mentioned vision for the Storm. Right now, the Ravens, though, are the ones that step up to the Fire Giant. Half health already. Haddix stunned out. Tegveer tried to get into the lane, but couldn't quite find too much. Hurry pulls him back in for the stun. This time, Vin's ult connects, and they've got the damage, but Ratmilk with some great peel at least keeps Tegveer alive a little longer. Scream into the sky, dunks down, goes for the solo laner, and helps find the kill. First one of this fight. Hapn slowed, River's Rebuke up, and a great one set up to peel for his team, but it's going to sacrifice the Yemoja. 2 gone, and it's the front line for the Storm that fall.
Gord, did you see the CC combo between Ven and Hurriwind there? Hurry's pulling in, Tegveer says, I'm going to pull him in, let's line up Spirit of the Nine Winds, waits for Spirit of the Nine Winds to hit, just uses the suction of his ultimate to line up the shot, knocks him away with Spirit of the Nine Winds, then pulls him back in through the air. Tegveer wasn't allowed to play in that engagement. Frontline caught out, dismantled, double global to secure the kill. Both Zapman and Scream involved in that one. And from there, SMITE Storm just had to fully disengage. That was a crazy play.
Beautifully done. And Hurry, look, he's won 5. He's a majority of the kills the Storm have been able to find. That's where they've been able to pick apart the Ravens, is Hurry's engage going as well for the Ravens as they need it to. 2 fights ago? No. Last fight, as you just highlighted, and then some. It is perfect for him. Now you got to deal with the Titan over on right, but you're going to have to deal with a full 5 Fire Giant Ravens. And this time, Mifflin, the team in the lead as well. That's going to be holding on to it. So you've got a lot of options. They picked up the Fury, they picked up the Pyro and the path to the Fire. And so now it's going to be talking about Siege, and I guess more for the Storm. When you're, what, 8,000 gold down, you got to ask about the defense and what they can do.
Well, fortunately for the Storm, there is a silver lining that has been afforded to them by the engagement around Fire. Beads and Aegis off of Ven and Zapman means the levers of power in the hands of Ratmilk right now. If Ratmilk finds a massive ultimate on Tier 2 on Phoenix, it doesn't matter. You probably want to look for it a little bit earlier because we're already under a minute on those cooldowns for the Beads and Aegis. You could just stop this siege in its tracks immediately. So I'd like to see the Storm play a little bit more aggressive. Because those relics are down, the Highland Ravens aren't going to walk into a bird. Yeah. If you want that fight, it's going to have to be in a Tier 2. Or you wait for the Highland Ravens to knock out all your Tier 2s, and then they have their relics back up, and they're further ahead than they were previously.
I'm going to give it maybe 5 seconds. Keep your eyes on Ratmilk, and that's just because that's where the Beats timer's at. Is pretty far away from the fight right now, and is about to walk right over a ward. So that ping comes out. They know where he's at. In terms of vision, or maybe
look how safe they're playing
on the side. Yeah, I think that's exactly what it is, right? Just shows up, and it's just enough to recognize that things are going to be rough. You've got 12 seconds left if you're going to try to find the carries, and it doesn't seem like the Storm are going to find the opportunity. Instead, Scream, split pushes, Tier 2 on right. Rest of the Ravens knock down Tier 2 in mid.
That's tough.
And that is going to be another heap of gold. 11,000 now up for the Ravens, and they're going to fall back, Mifflin, to a waiting Primal Fury to make things a little bit easier for him. Pyromancer's going to be coming up soon. This Fire Giant can be noted as nothing but a success.
Man, if the Storm, I think the only place they could have had the aggressive jump onto the backline play is on the left side Tier 2. But they weren't grouped up fast enough. That was the only time the Highland Ravens were playing as 5. After that Tier 2 on left, you send Scream over to the right-hand side of the map. He's split pushing and generating threat, which means even just having 4 of your teammates standing in mid doing nothing is at least buying time for Scream to push down the right-hand side. SMITE Storm just got picked apart there on the macro play a bit. And then all the vision on the left side of the jungle as well just made it impossible for Ratmilk to get aggressive. And we saw him try his best to sneak through the jungle. He actually weaves behind the buff, jumps over the wall. He's trying to sneak into that back line, but the Ravens just far too much vision. The Storm never given their opportunity. Now it's all the Tier 2's gone, Gold Fury off the map, Runic Bomb in pocket, and the Highland Ravens have already spent up all that gold, meaning that they are in a very strong spot right now. Massive power spikes hitting on a few of these targets. Full build for Scream. Finish up that starter. Has Serrated Edge for an additional 20% pen. Deathbringer for Zapman. Been a while since we got to see that one picked up, but we'll find some value here so long as Hapn isn't nearby, the only one with Spectral Armor for his team. And the Storm don't even get the opportunity to play while relics are down. Ratmilk can go in and hit all 5 with his ultimate. It might not do anything.
Maybe you can bully Hurry a little bit, but that's if you're lucky.
That's what they tried last time.
Yeah, good point.
He's too tanky.
Yeah, maybe you just don't do that. Maybe you hope somebody else is pulling some of the beads.
You got to have Shippigami do it. It's got to be Shippigami or it's got to be Tegveer. Hapn can do it with Riptide. We talked about that, but that's really difficult, especially in jungle engagements. Shippigami can very easily burn 1 set of beads, at least, with his ultimate. If you can play the disengage, let's say hypothetical game, Shinigami burns beads from Zapman. He rolls backwards. If Ratmilk is hovering the edge of the fight and can catch that roll with his own ultimate, with the Fear No Evil, as long as Zapman doesn't channel Astral Barrage, should be able to find that target. But those are thin margins, and that's ignoring Haddix running down your backline. That's ignoring Scream in the air. There's so many layers of entropy here that the Storm have to play through. It's going to be really difficult.
Well, I'm excited to see how they handle this. Vision around the Fire Giant has been big. Depending on how long this dance takes, we may be talking about an enhanced Fire Giant as well. It should respawn in maybe just a few seconds before the 30-minute mark, so it might not have a choice as the Ravens immediately take over the pit. 7-0-5, by the way. Both relics up for Scream. And it feels like he has been able to get away with way too much in a lot of these instances. And as he's looking for a stun, maybe as the team is setting up, whether or not the Storm are going to answer is the big question.
They have to.
That I have around this Fire Giant. They have to. 10 seconds until it's enhanced. As the Ravens start to take this, let's listen in with them.
I'm gonna force some of them out, guys.
Still pull him?
Oh, no, not quite. Almost.
He's up. I have wall back up. It's fine.
They're checking
How
fire.
confident are we in burning this? I think we're pretty good at burning it.
They have a really
They've got the pressure they need, and they don't seem too worried. I don't know if you heard that. There was no
They're
urgency in the comms. It is all calm, collected, and Fire Giant started up. Now you have to wonder. Here's Scream going up to the sky again, both relics, and has been finding massive kills. Dunked down, doesn't find the stun there. Ravens still secure the Fire Giant. It's enhanced on top of that. Now they just have to get away with the fight. Ratmilk deleted by Zapman. The chase is on,
trouble.
and it's the Ravens taking him apart. Vin somehow lives, and there's the alternate timeline. Just a style on him. 3 gone from the Storm, and the chase continues as they find Tegveer. Double for Zap, and a run straight down the mid lane as the Ravens are going to strike first and take game 1 of this set.
Man, Ratmilk tried so hard to get in that back line and does find a priority target with the ultimate, but alternate timeline. I was wondering to myself, why is Ven standing here? What is he doing? He walking
got like 2
back
health.
in? What's going on? Just wanted the regeneration. Globe in some trouble here. Just tanky enough. We'll get back to Fountain. And should probably just stay there to save his KD.
Well, looks for a little bit of damage. Not sure you can find too much. Not saving the KD this time.
Oh, his turn.
His alternate timeline, Prox, doesn't have the same result. Ravens, game 1, win 1 of the groups. And as we heard in their comms, Myth, calm and collected the whole way through, it feels like.
Yeah, I mean, I dropped into the booth before the game. I said, guys, at least be a little bit nervous. They're cracking jokes. They're talking about, what they're going to do later tonight, where they're going for dinner. I'm like, guys,
You've got like a game to play.
Yeah, these dudes just ran the SEC gauntlet. Like, be careful. But clearly the Ravens in solid control during game 1. The only times we saw fight back from the Storm were on misplays from the Ravens. Oh, we dropped the Gold Fury. Oh, we got the Fire Giant stolen. And there were opportunities after that Fire Giant, that one team fight where I thought, okay, maybe the Storm's got a little bit for us, but the veteranship of the Ravens and the massive lead they had accumulated up until that point kind of, I suppose, cushioned the fall, I should say.
And we got to hear it from Ratmilk coming into this, right? Already kind of recognized, like, this is going to be a difficult group to begin with. And, you're maybe taking on the hardest team, I think, coming into the event, period, up first. So, already not going the way. But like you said, a little bit of fight back that puts this game and prolongs this game longer than I think a lot of the previous SPL versus SCC games have gone, but maybe longer than the Ravens would have expected, especially with the FG steal. So if they can find that kind of momentum, but a little bit earlier, not just around steals, is this a team that you see the energy, kind of the pressure to come through to knock the Ravens around a little bit?
Gore, I'll say this.
Yeah.
If Tegveer hits the first ultimate we saw in the Soul Lane,
no.
I think that's a completely different game just in of itself. So small plays really are what separate it.
Well, that's the thing to keep your eyes on. Game 1 goes to the Ravens. We'll find out what happens in Game 2 right after this.
It ain't about fame, it ain't about fake friends. And screw your ex, is such a flake. Forget your grades, you need a break. You, it's all about you, no matter what the others say. But now I'm done talking, the lights on me. I tell you, I guarantee this night's about to take a turn for the better. Now the rain is pouring and all I see is lightning around my feet. Now nothing can bring me down. I just wanna dance till my heart goes la la la. I just wanna dance. I just wanna dance till my heart goes la la la. I just wanna dance. I just wanna dance till my heart goes la la la. I just wanna dance. I just wanna dance till my heart goes la la la. I just wanna dance. It ain't about money, it ain't about the coolest job. It's about having fun and love the ones that makes you shine. You, it's all about you, no matter what the others say. But now I'm done talking, the lights on me. I tell you, I guarantee this night's about to take a turn for the better. Now the rain is pouring and all I see is lightning around my feet. Now nothing can bring me down. I just wanna dance till my heart goes la la la. I just wanna dance. I just wanna dance till my heart goes la la la. I just wanna dance. I'm done talking, the lights on me. I tell you, I guarantee this night's about to take a turn for the better. Now the rain is pouring and all I see is lightning around my feet. Now nothing can bring me down. I just wanna dance till my heart goes la la la. I just wanna dance. I just wanna dance till my heart goes la la la. I just wanna dance. You can never sleep in traffic, 'cause living steady panic. I know 'cause I try acid.
The SMITE World Championship right around the corner. I remember when we were talking about it, and it was like we were counting down the days, 50-something, 40-something. We are in the single digits now, folks. 8 days away from the SMITE World Championship in Arlington, Texas. And if you can't be there with us in person, make sure to watch on Twitch, on YouTube, everywhere. We'll be throwing up those matches, those socials. Make sure to come enjoy the SMITE World Championship with us in just 8 days from now. That's what these teams are fighting for. And the Highland Ravens, man, they are fighting in there in game number 1. That looked, outside of maybe that Fire Giant steal, I mean, that looked like a pretty dominant game number 1 from the Ravens.
Yeah, early game, had it locked in, really no question. There was a bit of some drop plays, maybe some nervous jitters from the SMITE Storm. Then they walk up, Hapn steals away the FG, like 82 damage or something like that, and they're able to fight back for a bit. And then Highland Ravens say, we're ripping the game back in our favor and you're not getting a chance. And it was just extremely one-sided from then on out. I think that's what we all expected from a game number 1. I'm hoping that the XIBALBA Storm are able to slow down some of that pressure because, again, if you look at the draft, which is where you got to start, it didn't seem like there was enough to sort of stop Screammmmm, who was the driving force behind this squad. At one point, just 7-0, dominating the map, and continued to do so. This Anvil of Dawn was setting up just about everything that the Ravens would want, even after that Fire Giant steal. Screammmmm was still on point, so we're going to need more answers. It can't be, hey, you banned Ratatosker, Ratmilk's done. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure he's got more guys in the back pocket. It was just the Hunbats. It just takes so long for him to be able to do that same level of DPS that Thor has.
Right, and then he's maybe the only one trying to burn those beats when we got to those late game team fights. But I mean, there's a reason that they first picked this Thor. They clearly have been putting the Screammmmm, putting in the reps on it, and I think you can see it come through with the amount of early game pressure. 8-0-7, 4-0-11 as well from Haddix. We talked about that solo jungle combination, the pressure they're going to have, the dive potential that they have, the double dunk coming through, and Deathless on the side of the Ravens. That's something you got to look to target out, not only maybe in the picks and bans here, but also in how you want to play the game. And this is where it's going to start in the picks and bans. They have selected this first pick slot, so it's now going to be the XIBALBA Storm who have the opportunity to, you know, take something that is maybe going to help them drive the pressure a little bit more, or take something away from the Highland Ravens.
It's a night and day difference between the first and the second pick, right? You have to play so differently. The Ravens were able to say, hey, we can go for target bans, right? We have first pick. We can design our draft around this first selection, whereas if you're the XIBALBA Storm in last game, you got to say, hey, meta bans, right? We don't want to deal with the Athena. We don't want to deal with all these other picks. So now, complete switch up. Maybe they try to get the Thor for themselves. Maybe they try and, get the Rat. I doubt the Rat gets through, but there's still options. They can change up their draft style, and that might help, alleviate some of that early pressure that the XIBALBA Storm sort of fell to there.
Picks and bans for game number 2 here. All eyes on the Storm to see where those adaptations come through, and eyes on the Ravens to see if they try to run back some of those composition strengths and weaknesses that they had, right? Obviously, I think if they can get the Thor again, they'd like to go back to it. I don't think Screammmmm would be complaining about that one, but we'll see if the Storm decide to ban it away. And already, I mean, they've got a little bit more space for target bans. The Awelish was something that they banned out in game number 1. Maybe causing, it was the final ban of their 3 selections from that second pick slot. I was questioning it a little bit. And now the first ban here on their side, and the Aphrodite as well. Some unexpected bans coming through.
Well, they're clearly trying to first pick something that doesn't love the Afro, the Awelix. I mean, it wasn't as if the XIBALBA Storm comp was good into Awelix, right? They had Yemoja, they had Baba Yaga. There was a lot of leaps. The Riptides can be annoying. So maybe they always knew that was a pick that they would look towards. And it seems like that's the idea here as well. Nike makes perfect sense. And, of course, the Highland Ravens not letting that Rat through, which means Screammmmm does not get his hands on Thor this time around. The Storm is going to pick that one immediately.
Last time they held out all the way to the end of the draft to give Ratmilk his selection. He goes to the Hunbats. Now with this Thor in hand, we saw just now how Screammmmm was able to have that pressure across the map with that semi-global. This new pick and ban phase, though, you take away the Aphrodite, that means you dropped a ban from game number 1. Maman going unbanned here in this game number 2, and that's still a pretty strong top 2 from the Ravens.
Yeah, no doubt. These are 2 picks that can absolutely command the map. I do hope, though, that this is Maman in the jungle. I was very much against the Maman mid before this break, before the Christmas break. I didn't love it. I think that she's just a lot better in that jungle presence. Her wave clear just does not hit the same when you're in that mid lane. You can play it, and it was played to some great affection, but I think in this case, I'd prefer to see Screammmmm taking that Maman. And the answer back, yeah, the Zeus. This is something that has been skyrocketing as far as, win rate goes, but I haven't seen too much Zeus. I'm glad we get to see it here.
Thoth and Zeus both were picks banned away by the Storm in game number 1, right? So now both of those mages get here, and we saw how impactful that alternate timeline was at the end of the game. Maybe not so much for Globe, right?
Vents went crazy, though.
Vents did go crazy, and you get the Kukulkan able to survive to the end of the game, and maybe that's the idea around Zeus. You get that second life in that crucial team fight. You also see the Warriors come through. Achilles, we saw in game number 1, have some success to execute onto the tanks, but then this Kukulkan coming back to the fray. We've seen this pick have a lot of prowess in past metas. I don't know, it's got a world skin and all that, but bringing it back to the Warriors all in.
Yeah, the last time we saw Kukulkan, it's been a minute. He has received many buffs as well as build buffs since then, right? The Warriors Axe plus just buffs to his abilities. So he is going to be a force to be reckoned with. I will say, this Thoth was top of the meta before we left. He's still fantastic now, and you're up against Zeus, who just does not have the range to deal with him in lane. You will be stuck underneath that tower, and if you even want to get close to farm, Ven, as far as I'm concerned, is going to have ample opportunity to find a solo kill this game, just by nature of Thoth outranges Zeus by so much. And there's plenty of setup already for it. You can set up yourself with the evade and punish. Zeus has not much movement to get away from it. Add the Achilles into the mix, add the Maman stun into the mix, and we haven't even seen Hurriwind's pick, so there's going to be lockdown. The positioning for this Zeus is going to have to be top tier, and that's still going to be difficult to survive.
Supports taken away here for both sides. A lot of those top picks taken away, right? We obviously are Aphrodite, Athena taken off the board in the first phase, Charon, Yemoja, Ganesha, Ares. I mean, these supports might have to go pretty deep into the god pool if we're thinking about what we want to bring for the table here. GIobe Storm considering some of those picks, and it's the Maui that gets locked in. Hachiman hovered, would be going up against that Rama. The Maui, I think, an interesting one that we've seen some success with in the past, of course, but ever since the nerfs to some of his CDRs, right, not having that landfall up as much, right, hasn't seen as much play.
Yeah, I think that the Sylvanas hover gave me a good idea of the mindset there. It used to be Wrath of Terra into Zeus ult, right? You automatically get 3 procs, the CC is so long. Maui can do a similar job. That landfall can pull you into the Zeus ult, you can get it, but Maui's much safer, right? Sure, you don't have that healing. You get some HP 5 from the Mystical Alua, but you have that leap. You can get out of trouble with the Solar Swing, so I do like it. Last pick lock-in from the Ravens there is gonna be the tier. I mean, we've seen a bit of the tier support. It can get you some good lane pressure. It's got fantastic clear on the early buffs because you get a second ability, but you lose a little bit of that value if you get behind. That's the big difference maker for me. Can this tier get a lead and hold it? If so, I got no problems with the tier support. If you get behind, the pushes start doing a little bit less. You can't really get in the back line consistently, and you don't get as much value from that pick.
We've seen Genetics play it. We've seen Awesome Jake play it back in the day. Awesome tier 408. Now it's Hurriwind's turn. Potentially make life really difficult for this Zeus, right? We talked about the lockdown that the Highland Ravens already had, the difficult matchup into Thoth. And this tier is just going to add to that, right? Zeus is going to have a very difficult time walking around this map. And you got to imagine, once again, the question goes to Ratmilk. That last game, we talked about a little bit of a delay in that pressure. The Hunbats coming through, has to get that ultimate online. Somewhat similar to Thor, you're waiting for that ultimate to come online, but then you get this semi-global pressure. You can start to impact any of the 3 lanes. Where do you want to push the pressure through? Do you think you're trying to help this Zeus have a better lane, or you're just leaving him to farm for late?
Yeah, I already talked about how Ven is just going to outrange, right? Thoth has a field day against Zeus, but on the other side, Thor has a field day against Thoth. That wall of Evade and Punish is not going to get you through a wall. You need Phantom Shell to do that, so we can see that same level that Scream was able to put onto Globe last game switched around here. Ven's gonna have to watch his positioning. He's gonna have to watch the sky because you can't be getting landed on without your beads up. I do think the GIobe Storm have the ability to play through mid lane if possible, but it's all going to be about, is Globe even able to step up? Remember, that Thoth damage is going to keep you out of lane. You show up, you get poked out, you go back to base and kind of continue that process. That's what it feels like.
All eyes on the Zeus pick. All eyes on the GIobe Storm as they're looking to fight back and force a game number 3. The Highland Ravens, though, looking to take this one in a clean 2-0. And we'll see it in game number 2. Highland Ravens looking to take it. GIobe Storm looking to fight back. And we'll throw it over to the casters.
Thanks so much, Frog and Trelly. It's Gore, it's Myth, it's Doug as we jump into game 2. And it's not the end of the road if the Storm lose this one, but the road gets a lot rougher from this point forward. So they want to fight back as best they can. Myth, I will say, though,
please,
while Ratmilk gets, I would say, one of his top gods on the Thor, the top 3 from the Ravens in that draft was a pretty strong top 3, and I don't think they rounded it out any weaker, and it's 81% in their favor based on the Twitch poll.
And I would argue, even within that top 3, Scream is maybe the best jungle Maman Brigitte we've seen in the SPL. Jungle Maman Brigitte. Best Maman, for me personally, goes to Dardes, but best jungle Maman. Tons of pressure out there and easy targets to jump on. I would be lying to you if I said I was overly familiar with the Maman Brigitte and the Zeus matchup. How does that feel? How does that look? But if I'm running the numbers in my head and I'm thinking about what every Zeus has ever done to them when I've dove them, it's drop ultimate on their feet, drop shield on their feet, and throw in the chain lightning, right? That doesn't work if Maman's jumping into your shadow every single time. It's essentially a built-in Aegis on top of you. So I think there could be a lot of concerns for GIobe throughout this game. One of the silver linings for XIBALBA Storm in Game 1 was how aggressive their duo lane was, how much pressure they had established. And it's still decent pressure, but it's certainly less kill pressure than we had seen in the last composition. So where do you put that pressure now? I think you have to play around Tegveer on this Kukulkan a bit more so. You really don't want him falling 2 or 3 levels down to Haddix. Haddix was making so much use of the lead that he had, rotating to all those early fights. So there are certainly some concerns here for the XIBALBA Storm. A lot of them could be alleviated, of course, by Ratmilk on this Thor, and he is phenomenal on this pick. But you can't be completely reliant on your jungler for everything on the map. I got to see where the Storm can get things done in the lanes.
I'm also really excited to see Hapn on Maui, and part of that's just because I love playing
good
Maui,
at
I
it.
love watching it. But yeah, if you're set up for a good Maui, then you are going to have a good game, or at least a good setup for your team. It's just the question of what your team can follow up on. I do want to ask, though, so we get Shippigami on Hachi. It feels like for a long time Hachi was just like the next one up, right? Like he was never the top pick, except for that one stint where he was the top pick. But then he was always like number 2, number 3. Yeah.
Except for the times where he was.
Yeah, exactly. It's true. But tier, right? Tier support, which is maybe going to come into the equation here soon because Maman is hanging out. Scream is looking for maybe a little more than just the shield buff. He's going for Shippigami. He's got a little bit of damage. He forces the beads. And they gets a little bit of poke onto Hapn as well. Should be the shield buff over to the Ravens. And I believe the cooldown buff over to the Storm. So small trade in neutrals. But how do you feel about the tier early on and maybe just in general?
It's a lot of disruption. It's really hard to lock down tier. But I think the thing that is major to him, and something we haven't seen him in support with, is the stun on his ultimate. That is now guaranteed initiation every single time. So a little bit better in support than what we saw from Awesome Jake way back when. Is he as good as like some of the other standard Guardians? Can he put up that level of CC guaranteed? I'm not entirely convinced of that. It feels like to me this tier was an answer to just the AoE space control of the Storm. If you're worried about someone has to stop the Zeus, tier can do it relatively easily, and it's just so tanky because of the defensive passive on his third ability that he can essentially just walk down Zeus and not care about it, and I think that's a smart answer. But otherwise, I need to be convinced on the rest of the value of tier support.
Honestly, his passive might be pretty helpful too if you're up in the front line. I mean, that's what we've seen in solo lane, right? But you're getting smacked around by any amounts of CC, Hurry can just ignore it for the most part, right? It's going to be very, very minimal in terms of impact. We'll have to see. It was the early game. Again, we did, I think, a hot check at 3 minutes, which was way too early. We're there again, but it was around that 8-9 minute mark that the Ravens really started to show 2,000 gold. They had so much, and that was despite First Blood going over to the Storm. You had mentioned it. If Tegveer had gotten the kill onto Haddix the second time around, maybe creates a different conversation. But we live in the world we live in. Right now, the Storm are going to have to deal with that setup, and it is these next few minutes that feel very crucial for them. And I feel like, as you had mentioned, Scream. Right now, do you see the Maman being as hyperactive? Last time I saw her, it felt like she was much more kind of late game slanted, whereas Thor, he's got ult. I want to start to see Ratmilk.
Yeah, Maman Brigitte's in an interesting spot in that her kit is actually very good for ganks. Having a stun in your kit just makes you really good at initiating fights for your team early on. But her damage output is like 2-item power spike slanted. So until then, won't exactly have 100 to 0, but certainly does have the ability to facilitate the rest of the team what people sleep on is just some of the CC output outside of the one, right? The ultimate being a guaranteed knock-up, essentially. Having the stun immediately afterward just makes it really difficult to walk away from Maman. And also her ability to walk you down. She doesn't get movement speed penalties.
Ratmilk dunked down, gets a little bit of damage. Zap doesn't make it out of there, and that is a lockdown. Great shot from Ratmilk. Gets first blood for this one. It's on to Zapman.
Zapman in a little bit of trouble here now. Wasn't even allowed to finish up stacking his item or getting his Devourer's Gauntlets online. Instead, we'll have to rotate back in a lane, get a little bit more gold beforehand.
Oh, no.
Good start for the dual lane of the Storm, but counter rotation from Scream. I'm not sure he's going to have this one.
He's got some damage. CC is there. Ult knock-up is good, and now you've got Hurry in a good spot to try and find a Fearless, something to lock down Shippigami. You just need a little bit more, and there's going to be the last hit. Takes a while. He's out of mana, almost out of health, but Scream gets the job done and puts the Ravens on the board.
Yeah, I thought maybe Scream just low enough mana that Shippigami would have been able to walk himself out of there, unfortunately for him. Just got enough for that first ability to come back up, and that second rotation of stun guarantees the kill for the Highland Ravens, even when it looks good for the Storm. An immediate counter rotation from Scream starts to right the ship a bit, but heavy emphasis on the dual lane from Scream so far has put him in a slight deficit. Now about a half level, maybe level down.
Ratmilk in a little, I want to say a little bit of trouble. Not too much. He stole blue with assistance from his team. And now put Haddix into an awkward spot. So playing aggressive, and something that I want to say happy to see, right? We needed to see the Storm come out kind of fangs bared, ready to go, and if they've been able to amass 800 gold 6 minutes in, maybe it's not this massive gold lead, but that's a building block, right? Now you can talk about maybe a gold fear, you can talk about a couple more invades, another kill. There's a lot of potential for this to grow much further beyond where they're at.
And it's where they got that gold lead that is really going to start reflecting in the next few minutes. Being able to invade that blue buff up against Haddix, we saw exactly what happens when Achilles falls behind. Didn't exactly look pretty for Tegveer. Haddix, similarly susceptible, has gone for that aggressive build in first slot. So, if the XIBALBA Storm can keep their pressure on the right-hand side, while simultaneously not giving up too much in the dual lane, we could be looking at a similar pace to Game 1, just inverse this time in favor of the SCCs. Are you all right?
Well, he's not going to be the ultimate for ult trade. Zap goes into the sky. Hapn is just waiting, knows he's going to need the CC, pulls him in, and there's Shippigami to close it out and secure the kill. It is a second one in the duo lane and a second one on to Zapman. Hurriwind's going to rotate in, but maybe too late. Not much he can do on his own.
No, won't be able to get much done here instead. Just trying to keep that wave out of tower, farm up a little bit on his own. Thought maybe we'd see another rotation from Scream towards that soul lane, see if he can find a pick because we just saw the fight on left. Instead, just hovering the jungle, collecting farm as he can. XIBALBA Storm doing a really good job. I thought we'd see much more emphasis from the Storm elsewhere on the map. I thought we were looking at just keep Shippigami safe. Instead, it's get Shippigami active.
Well, now Ratmilk up to the sky. Shippigami and Hurry in a small fight, but it doesn't seem like much is going to happen there. Ratmilk comes down, Scream goes down with it, and a great dunk from the Storm opened up that opportunity. Now Hurry, though, pushing Shippigami against the wall. Beads maybe a little too late there. Zap has the damage, but not quite. The close gap, but no, Hurry gets pulled into the tower. Hurry gets taken down. Hit straight at App. Zap goes in. He's missing the autos. Oh, man, they're going to turn it one more. Oh, you need the auto, and he's going to find it with the banner. Double kill for Shippigami, and the Storm take over the duo lane.
The Ravens are doing too much in the duo lane. Hurry essentially goes for the 2v1 on his own with the ultimate in. Zapman's still walking back. He's waddling into the lane. Can't help you from that far away. Pulled back into the tower. Zapman rolls in, thinking he just needed one more auto attack. Bad math, needed two. Unfortunate for him. Loses his life. And now all of a sudden the XIBALBA Storm are in complete control of this game. 2,000 gold and experience, largely rooted in the duo lane. And Ratmilk, unfortunately for him, just a few seconds too early for that purple buff invade. But duo lane pressure leads to one thing, and it's Gold Fury. And Gold Furies generally lead to wins. XIBALBA Storm in a very good spot.
We were talking about vision last game. I mean, look at the ward coverage the Storm have. Nothing screams early Gold Fury, or at least once for an early Gold Fury like that. Maybe a little worry for whether or not Scream will show up and cause some trouble. But Shippigami, man, oh man, things have just been going well. Now you have to be a little worried. You've got your ult, and you're going to be fine. Not only are you going to be fine, you might actually be better off. Hapn has rotated in, CCing onto Zapman. Hurry pushed back Shippigami. So a small trade, but when the poke comes all through said and done, Zapman's the one who's a little bit lower and 2 levels behind right now. I mean, you called it exactly as it is. The Storm, they're just running that lane as best they can. Tegveer, maybe in a little bit of trouble. Haddix,
Good
Scream,
jump.
they're going to be going in. Haddix holding the tower as long as he can. Scream, looking for a little bit more damage, cannot quite find it. And the gank goes wrong.
Whoa!
3-man Fearless from Hurry. It looks great. It's not going to mean anything for him. In fact, it might just be his death. And it will be. But it looked beautiful in the process. Now Gold Fury, started up by the Storm. Then, if he's in the neighborhood, he's got the ult. And it's just where does he want to go with it? Zapman used the ultimate. Snipes come raining down. It seems like the Gold Fury's dropped and the Storm back away.
I like that call from the Storm. Don't leave it up to risk. They're in such a good spot now. Hapn. Just going to reaction check Zapman. Zap ready for it. Avoids the ultimate himself. But keep your eyes on Scream. Hapn's real low here. Could be an opportunity to fight back in. Scream spotted out. So a disengage from the Storm means they're just going to make it out of there alive. But if they all reset, if both dual laners reset, this would be an opportunity to pull gold.
And the Ravens are looking for it immediately. Vin again secure. Ratmilk's going to spot it out and walk up. Now Ratmilk had a miracle steal last time. This would be massive if he could take it away here. Not going to find it though. Ravens get themselves the gold. And the Storm have to get out with their lives. That's going to help alleviate a lot of the pressure. I mean, massive drop, right? Almost 2K, now back to the 500 range.
Major fumble there from the Storm. If one resets, it's unlikely the Raven pull the objective whatsoever. If they reset before they go to the wave, pretty unlikely that the Ravens can go to the objective. But because both reset after being shown on wave, I mean, that is the freest objective pool the Ravens could have asked for. There's just not enough numbers on the Storm to fight back in. Ratmilk goes for the only play in the book for him, which is, I'll just do Hail Mary steal, maybe my hammer does it. Unfortunately for him, comes up empty-handed. Fortunately for the Storm, though, seems fights on right, still going well.
Ratmilk up into the sky. Is he going to go for Scream or help the team? It's going to be a split fight. Hurry on Tegveer. Dunk down. Does not find the stun. Hurry. Flips himself out of there. Gets out no problem. And there's going to be a couple of ults, a few relics used. Well, nothing too massive over on the right-hand side. But Myth, 5 kills separating them, right? 6-1. A lot of that's been in the dual lane. Zap spent that time farming up. Not too much further behind Shipigami now. And we had just mentioned how the gold lead virtually collapsed entirely by that Fury. The Ravens, while the big numbers on the board maybe don't look quite in their favor, are in a pretty good spot to try and fight back, and the Storm need to figure out where they're going to find that control again.
Yeah, and I wonder if the Storm are disincentivized to play around their lead. Do you want to play around Shipigami and put him at risk when he's 4-1? He's not even exactly ahead of Zapman, and Zapman sitting at 0-3 would just absolutely pass up Shipigami if he finds the kill. If he gets killing blow onto Hachiman, the bounty, how it works, 12 minutes in, how long that cooldown would be on respawn, it would just be very detrimental to the Storm. So are you in a position now where you've got a bit of a lead, but you don't want to play with it, so you play elsewhere on the map, but things are more even elsewhere on the map as well? Hard to say. Stygian Beacon would be a great simplified engagement, but it's not a great leap from Hapn.
Now, last time we didn't get to see too many engagements around this. Hapn in trouble. Island up. Maybe blocks him out. Ratmilk comes dunking down. Does not find the stun.
What happened
Instead,
to him?
they're just collapsing. The Storm are getting torn apart. Finn with a double kill, and they're going to keep looking for a little more. Shipigami barely makes it out of that one alive. And the Ravens just get to march forward down mid, take this tier 1, and have complete control.
Man, the Storm are playing with the power of friendship. Me personally, Hapn gets caught out like that. See you later, buddy. Okay, you shouldn't have walked that direction in particular. Goes entirely into the Highland Ravens. GIobe says, no, we need that guy. He's our initiator. You don't. You don't need that guy. You got killed as well just by Ven staring you down from halfway across the map. The Ravens gifted a team fight there and grabbed themselves the Stygian Beacon as well. And I mean, Slash Line looks good for the Storm, and that's about it.
And it's maybe going to look a little better here. Haddix, never mind, finds a 2-man stun under the tier 1 tower. Uses the ult to try and disengage. Is pulling him in, will go down, but now you've got Vin, you've got Hurry, and you've got Scream. And like you said, what is it going to cost? The shots are looking good. The teleport strong, but the disengage not strong enough. 1-for-1 Haddix for Ratmilk.
Man, Hurry perfectly playing the teleport there, holds the defensive stance fearless, gets a bit of CC on a Ratmilk and makes it easy for the rest of the Ravens to catch themselves back up and secure the kill. And look at the relics for the XIBALBA Storm as well, man. I mean, no beads, no Aegis for Ratmilk, beads off Shippigami, Tegveer's got nothing in the tank as well. There are opportunities all the way across the map for the Highland Ravens to start forcing some engagements. beads off of Scream, sure, but good luck figuring out where Scream is. So it's a little bit more difficult for the Storm to figure out where to put their next fight. With Fury spawning so soon, I mean, classic Smite knowledge seems to dictate that that's where the next engagement should be. And the Highland Ravens, I mean, so much space control and massive power spikes from Ven means that who's working through the Thoth? Who's going to create that space? It essentially has to be a dunk, I think. If it's not Ratmilk starting the fight with a dunk on the Ven is going to do too much poke damage before the engagement even starts.
That's the danger. And, you know, we got to see it a lot, actually, in the SCC and the European qualifiers and in A as well, where Thoth and Kukulkan were just the top run mid laners that you could have. Did get the dash, did get the ult. Scream's going to be out of there. Maybe that's the pressure they need. A lot of numbers on the left side of the map for the Ravens. And specifically, it's Vin. As long as that blue diamond next to his name is up, every objective seems infinitely scarier. You've got good burn with a Zeus, but he's got the best secure. We saw last game, you can't rely too heavily on just being able to sneak that out from under the nose of the Ravens.
No, the Ravens best secure on map easily. And by a large magnitude, right? I think detonate for Zeus doing half of what Ven's ultimate's going to do at a full charge. So the margins for stealing are so narrow for the Storm. They'd have to hope for a misconfirm from the Ravens as opposed to actually threatening a steal themselves. Ravens, aware of that, should be trying to force engagements on neutral objectives at every opportunity. And Pyromancer, it's a simple one. Force the fight here, grab yourself a free one, and it makes it easier to grab whatever neutral objective you go to next.
They're going to pick that one up. Hurry's actually going to pick up Tegveer, push him against the wall. Doesn't have the backup from the team, and like you said, maybe too tanky to really want to commit to. Now Pyro's gone. It's like a coin flip, right? In that moment, if a fight happens and it goes well for the Ravens, which now we get the 1v1, Zap's a little low, but forces Shi'igami away. Maybe that was more Scream's presence on board.
Got the beads, though.
Gets the beads. Helps the Storm rotate over towards the Fury, but again, this is going to be an iffy call. Vin doesn't have ult.
Zap's hurt.
Zap is hurt. We'll see how well the fight goes. Zap does have ultimate, though. Fury a little over half. Zap up into the sky, looking to rain some hell from above. Finds it on the globe. The knockups, the damage, they're all there, and they find it. Scream picks up the kill, and the chase is on Shi'igami's low, and now diving deep are the Ravens. They're split apart. Ratmilk is able to get to the back, is able to get Zap, but it is losing everything for you in the process. Your team has been taken down. 4-for-1. Zap will happily take that trade if it means the Fury.
The fight got so split. Again, it's Hurriwind. Massive disruption in the back line. Zapman was essentially just bait on the left-hand side. Gets Ratmilk off of Ven, and Ven's free casting. And if Ven's free casting, the Highland Ravens are just going to look good in all of these fights. Scream found a massive ultimate himself, and all of a sudden, the XIBALBA Storm, who had started this game off so phenomenally,
so well,
have really lost a thread on this one. 8-8 does not do it justice. The Highland Ravens in complete control right now, but there is still potential to fight in the jungle. I think if the XIBALBA Storm can do just a little bit more to keep GIobe alive. GIobe got jumped on in that fight, sits in the mystical Alua, says, finally Hapn's peeling for me, and realizes, oh, Hapn was just floating 3 feet above me and to the right a bit, so doesn't even get too far with that teleport. If they can keep GIobe alive, he's got just enough damage that I think he threatens maybe the tankier targets, Haddix to a certain extent, Hurriwind to a certain extent, does massive damage to Scream. The win condition for the team fight is King Protect GIobe.
Fearless on to Ratmilk from Hurry, and they've got the damage. Scream tries to cut him off, can't quite catch him before he gets into the air, and that should be a good disengage from the Thor. Now maybe a bad positioning Vin, and a little bit of danger, has to fall back. Tegveer's the main target. You've got 4 Ravens over here picking apart corpses where they can, and the chase continues to be on. Great stun, good knock-up, and it's GIobe in trouble. It's GIobe gone, and a double for Haddix.
I mean, the XIBALBA Storm just were not ready for the numbers that the Highland Ravens brought to that fight on the right side. Even with Ven disengaging early, they were so far up on the Storm. They were so low. They had used so many of their resources just previously. Not a whole lot left in the tank to take the fight. And so, the Highland Ravens take another clean win. Can they do anything with this time? 20 seconds on GIobe's respawn? Maybe you can regroup. Perhaps look towards a tier 1 on left. Maybe play for the Fire Giant. Instead, seems to me, Stygian Beacon and farm up neutrals. Silver lining for the Storm. Shi'igami's like kinda ahead, maybe a little bit. I'm digging deep.
And admittedly, I mean, Myth, you kind of have to, right? You had mentioned it. It's now 8-10, the Ravens with the kill lead.
I mean, Shipigami is cooking them, to be fair.
True. And you know what? From like minute 1 as well, right? He has been controlling that lane.
Zap has not wanted to fight.
It has not gone too well. Zap's 0-4, and it's still not been able to get too much. And it was, now 10 kills for the Ravens, 8 to the SMITE Storm. It was 6-1 in favor of the Storm. I mean, to lose that amount of pressure, that Gold Fury it turned this entire game on its head. Now Tier 1 in left knocked down. It's going to be the last Tier 1 that the Storm had standing. And the last one the Ravens needed to get rid of. So that's going to be a wide open margin for them. Tegveer in a little bit of trouble.
Watch how quick he falls.
And look at this damage. Oh my god. And they don't even need the execute.
Oh my god.
Here comes Ratmilk, and it might not be to your benefit,
Hammer
buddy.
aggressive?
You come just crashing down into what surely is going to be your own demise. Haddix has the chase. The teleport's good. But the blink might just be a little bit better this time around. Haddix scoops it up, and that's 2 gone on the Storm in the blink of an eye.
And where's Zapman? That ADC always tells the truth on where you're going. Fire Giant. Highland Ravens with 2 dead on the side of the Storm should have easy confirm here. And 2 on the left-hand side showing themselves on wave. Globe's not even going to walk up and try and steal. I mean, that is 0% odds for him. Tough stuff, man. The Storm once more caught out in that soul lane. Rotation from Scream just doing too much damage. Looked to me like Tegveer thought he was tankier than he was. Here's the thing about Maman Brigitte with 3, 4, 5 items. It'll kill you. I don't care who you are.
Yep.
You're just going to get knocked down.
It's not looking good. Luckily right now, maybe this might be the best fight. Scream's not involved. He's back in the base for a moment. You have an opportunity. But it's Fire Giant for 5 on the Ravens. It's 9,000 gold. They're about to bump that over 10k if they can get this Tier 2 island. Splits the uprights. Good jump from Ratmilk. Oh my god, the damage onto Zapman. They've got what they need, and that's going to be the opening kill. Both the carries from the Ravens dissected and taken down easily by the Storm, and that's going to be a great way to stall out this FG.
Got to keep that pressure up. If you just reset here, the Ravens will reset themselves. But if you keep your pressure, maybe you find another pick. Maybe you take Fire Giant off of one more. Tier 1 tower in mid, taken. Hurriwind on defense with Haddix. Scream nowhere to be seen. This should be a Tier 2 as well. Ravens won't be giving it up to risk here. Will instead just let this one fall down. Can the Storm continue their siege? I don't think so. Maybe you don't look towards that Phoenix instead. Grab yourself a Fury, clear out some camps, and all of a sudden, that Fire Giant power play, it's been delayed. I don't think we see the Highland Ravens group up as 5 and knock down a bird anytime soon.
I think a lot depends. Haddix gonna get aggressive. Primal Fury got dropped. Ravens. Haddix just walks in and takes this. I don't know how you drop it there, but unfortunately for them, it's exactly what the Ravens need. And now the chase is on Haddix. Once this fight, he's got backup. If that stun connects, we're maybe talking a few kills. And it is just him for right now. Scream's off to the side. They don't want any more on the left, or maybe they do. Both frontliners from the Ravens still hanging around. You've got eyes, you see them backing. You've got Zap and Scream going to push over the Tier 2 on right, and only Ratmilk who would be able to respond. So pressure for the Ravens is there, but where is it going to be? On to Zap, dunk is good, up to the sky, and the snipes get a lot of damage, teleport to the hammer, and that gives just enough space to keep that Tier 2. No, it falls. Zap loses his life for it, and that might be the big opener you need. Didn't have the FG. It was Scream playing defensively. 4 from the Storm in the right-hand side. Might just be Haddix who's in trouble.
Globe's dropped low, but Scream's not coming back to help. So if Haddix is going to make it out of here alive, it's going to be all on him. Pull back, no good. And Haddix makes himself scarce. All the while, I lost it on the map. Ven and Hurriwind were pushing down the left-hand side. So Tier 2 on right taken. Tier 2 on left, similarly gone. And all of a sudden, the Highland Ravens exposed every single one of the XIBALBA Storm's birds. But not without cost. Zapman off the map and beads off of Scream might create an opportunity where the Storm can look for either a pick onto Scream or Zap, or just try and pull an objective soon. With no objectives on the map, not exactly a simple place for them to walk either. I guess I was just wrong. Fire Giant power play simply works out for the Highland Ravens.
Well, there's a minute left. Admittedly, Myth, there's not a whole lot to do in that minute.
They've done it all.
Yeah, if they and Phoenix has just seemed like it'd be such a far-fetched thing to go for. Instead, Hurry, maybe looking to try and catch the Storm off guard. But I expect a lot of this to be set up and prep for the next FG. maybe a little bit of beacon. In the meantime, should be in the right side lane. This gets captured for the third time. The Ravens are going to have that, and Titans in 30 seconds, running down right. And with a tier 1 still up, I mean, the Ravens are going to have a pretty distinct advantage over there now on the fight with the Titan there.
Yeah, there's a lot of advantages that the Highland Ravens are playing with, to be fair. If we were to break down all of them over the next 30 seconds, it would take up the entirety of it. I think what I'm looking at in particular over the next 70 seconds is whether or not Ratmilk can find Scream. That should be the entirety of Ratmilk's focus. Can I jump on a Scream? Where is Scream? Does he appear on a ward? I'm going to set up my ultimate. And if you can knock down Scream before the fight starts, that might be the only way to put the SMITE Storm in an advantage state going into this Fire Giant.
I mean, while they have a little bit of space, especially with Haddix not finding the stun, I feel like Zapman is the epitome of the meme that shows like calloused hands on one side and then well-manicured hands on the other side. Like his hands look like that,
this, yeah.
So that their hands can look like... You've got 5, 1, and 2 for Haddix, 5, 1, and 7 for Scream, and then Zap's 0, 6, and 4. Like he is, by all means, at least KD-wise, not doing too much. But for his team, he's created so much.
Have you seen the structure damage? No one's putting up numbers like the Z-Man, all right? Jenny from the block rocks towers, okay? And that's his thing. Look at that.
Yeah.
He's doubled up the next guy. He's more than the entire enemy team put together. That's the Z-Man factor.
Yeah. He's got the job done. And right now that job's going to be knocking down the Titan. Look, his hands are rough and callous, but it's so the team can look so good, so clean. 11,000 gold. Titan pushing up right, surely. They're not going to push with it. They're not focused on that at all. Instead, Fire Giant seems to be the main call. Hapn's going to be backing. Numbers advantage heavily for the Ravens, and it doesn't seem like the Storm were willing to fight anyway. Fire Giant should be pretty easy secure, but it's 25 minutes, 26 minutes.
So fast.
All 5 of them with the FG belt. Phoenix Siege Mifflin. Now that they've got the Titan over here, how good is it feeling for the Ravens?
Zeus is an interesting mage on base defense in that he does have great space control, which is generally what you look at for whether or not it's a standard mage that's going to be able to hold the line. But his space control comes from threat of damage. And GIobe is not exactly threatening.
Well, there's Hurry comes in, picks up Hapn, knocks him around, but doesn't quite knock him down. Instead, it's Haddix looking for the execute. Up into the sky. Great play from Hapn, but the Phoenix goes down. The Titan taken with it. Now you've lost some of your pushing power, but it does not seem to matter.
Hurry's
the Ravens
hurt.
Didn't quite get the memo. At least one kill goes back, and now 1 for 1 with Fire Giant gone. Ratmilk dunking down, misses the stun, and misses out on a lot of damage onto Zap. Deleted by the 2 carries, and now the Ravens get to resurge back in towards the base. Double kill for Venenu. 3v2, but not quite the confidence or the tankiness to run into the Titan room. Instead, the Ravens, small reset. GIobe maybe feeling hungry for something. If you can catch out Ven, it'd be massive.
Just needs to connect 1 tick of Chain Lightning. Just needs 1 bounce to hit Ven. And that's his live. Zapman didn't see him. Chain Lightning doesn't find the target.
Doesn't have the damage. Instead, GIobe is the one who eats a majority of it. Zap, Ven, both incredibly low. Both seemingly unworried. Instead, getting aggressive, burning through the Phoenix. Partially burning through Hapn. They take down 2 birds before they back off. Now the team's respawning. And Miff, they've got so much on the board they can do.
Yeah, Highland Ravens just going to sweep slowly through that left side jungle. Green, speed, back camps, Primal Fury, Oracles, that all belongs to them. Having broken the base now, the XIBALBA Storm, who struggle once more to keep GIobe involved in the team fight. Watching it, starts on the right-hand side, Haddix just walks at him. I mean, there was 0 concern for Haddix. I'll just walk at GIobe. He'll be forced to drop his ultimate in a not great spot on disengage. GIobe says, well, if I get forced back to base and I haven't used my ultimate, I get no value in the fight. So uses it and still only finds like maybe 1 or 2 ticks onto Hurriwind. With GIobe unable to stick around in the engagement, the XIBALBA Storm haven't got the damage to secure their kills. The only kills we're really seeing come through for the Storm are Shippigami rolling back with his ultimate after the fight. Someone tanked the Phoenix for a little bit too long. Someone took a little bit too much poke, and Shippigami's always going to be there to clean it up because of how much range Mounted Cavalry has. But if this Zeus can't start hitting priority targets at any point, it is going to be nigh impossible for the XIBALBA Storm to fight back in. So you can do it a few ways. You can either choose on the Storm, okay, look, my front line's not that tanky, but someone has to create space, send Tegveer in, have him die. It doesn't matter if he survives the engagement because he's not the one doing the killing. So if he just goes into the back line, blink on the Ven, force the dash away, maybe GIobe can start doing a little bit more himself. Have Ratmilk go for those dunks into the back line a little bit earlier in the fight. We've seen him chase out Zapman after the engagement. We've seen him try and finish off Ven when he's low, but we haven't really seen Ratmilk say, I'm going to start the engagement myself. There has to be something the Storm can do to keep GIobe involved.
Keeping my eye mainly on the ult for GIobe, right? You know, when we talk about Zeus, you had mentioned the Chain Lightning, but like, ults are so massive for mages that could be the huge dividing play.
That's
Instead,
the target.
Hurry
Look at
just
him.
gets to walk in and again put some damage down immediately. And guess where Haddix is? He's going for the execute, and he finds the Zeus before he can get anything done. The Ravens marching forward. Now Hurry's low. They're going to go for the left side Phoenix. All 3 birds gone. They've got fire minions on right. They're looking to advance themselves in this group and keep themselves in a good spot. They don't need to be too worried about it right now. Again, Mifflin, control across all 3 lanes. Vin, low. They only took down 1. GIobe's got 35 seconds before he's back. It sounds like Ratmilk up into the sky. Where is he going to dunk? Zap taking a lot of damage. Has to get out of here. Won't escape Tegveer. And the defense
50%.
starting to look great for the XIBALBA Storm. Ratmilk gets taken out. Titan, like you said, halfway down. But the Ravens are just as low and forced out by the Storm. They're not done fighting yet.
Not just yet, but won't be able to chase out much further than that. So they keep the base alive. Titan down to half. Right side Phoenix on the mend. Mid Phoenix not too far behind it. But your Titan doesn't regenerate until all of your Phoenixes are back and available. So going to be a while until the XIBALBA Storm are confident in the safety of their own base. Highland Ravens, though, I mean, the plan is clear. If it's true that the XIBALBA Storm can't keep GIobe alive, it's similarly true that the Ravens are dumping streamer levels of focus onto him. I mean, we saw Astral Barrage start off the engagement. Hurriwind goes for the dunk. Haddix blinked on him. Good luck stopping all that from happening. But that's the task, and that's always been the weakness of Zeus. He's an immobile mage who doesn't have any great CC himself. He gets jumped on. GIobe's just unfortunately the one who's getting jumped on this time.
Yeah, not much you can do about it. And this is maybe the moment where you have to make this kind of decision if you're the XIBALBA Storm. We've seen it a few times, but left side Phoenix, it doesn't exist. Mid Phoenix, it's barely coming back. Right Phoenix is taking a little bit of damage. You have to be careful. You need to fight for a Fire Giant. You need to be worried. If you're going to make a big play, you need to make it here, make it now, but you're getting split up by the Ravens. Tegveer's alone. All you need is someone who can deal a little bit more. Hapn luckily saves him out, but the snipes, Zap's looking for him. One more shot does not connect, and Tegveer blinks on out of here, stays alive. Ratmilk's been defending the base as best he can, but that should be the FG over to the Ravens. Does not seem like the Storm want to drop it and let it go, though.
If the Storm lose this Fire Giant, they lose the game. Is it GIobe again in the back? In execute range, but makes himself a scarce target.
Fire Giant low, Ravens looking to secure that one, no problem. But the fight afterward, maybe it's going to be something that the Storm are looking for. Great dunk from Ratmilk, but they need to find a little more, and they find it. It's going to be Vin. They trade him out for what happened. Oh no, they're trading him out for a lot more now. They're systematically getting destroyed. GIobe finally putting out the damage, exactly what you need from the Zeus, but now how well can you fight against Zap, against Hurry, against Haddix, who's going to teleport right back in a Zeus with no health, against 3 members of the Ravens and 3 Fire Waves, trying to prolong this game as best he can. GIobe, no ult.
Stay back.
And maybe no hope to hold on to this
Not
one.
like
The
that.
Ravens gonna move on forward, not only in this game, but in the bracket, a 2-0 to start the week.
Man, that is tough stuff there for the SEC, but they look good in moments. There are team fights where things are really starting to line up. Their punish game was very good when the Highland Ravens overstay on right side bird. When they overstay on left, there was punish from the SEC representatives, and that gives me a little bit of hope as this tournament starts to develop in their favor. But the Highland Ravens a clear favorite in this group. Put out a 2-0 victory here to start things off, and they look confident doing so.
Yeah, they put themselves in a great spot. Like we had said, though, it's double elimination groups, right? XIBALBA Storm, not the end of the road. They're going to end up playing the loser of, I believe, the Gladiators and Hex Mambo, if I remember the bracket correctly. So they've definitely got a path ahead of them. Again, the road is not going to be nice and smoothed out. Whereas the Ravens put themselves, I believe, on World's Point. One set, one more win. It's going to be a best of 5, but they could push themselves forward. And Myth, this is a great way for them to start things off, and probably something, as you had kind of mentioned, going into today, hanging out in the booth, and the way that their demeanor was, something they maybe expected.
I mean, those were some of the most confident players I've ever seen, man. No one was nervous. They're on Twitch. They're hanging out. Those guys were very confident in their game plan going into the set, and it shows exactly how confident they should have been. That was clean.
Well, confidence is key. It gets them a 2-0 here, and the Ravens get to move forward. But again, not the end of the road for the Storm. But that's it from Myth and myself. We'll throw it over to the desk, and they can break it down.
A big 2-0 for the Highland Ravens puts them 1 win away from heading to the SMITE World Championship. Meanwhile, GIobe Storm 1 win away from heading home. Still big stakes, both these squads. We're looking towards the Ravens. That did look, admittedly, pretty clean from them. I think Myth, makes some good points. That some bright spots from the Storm as well, as we look to see both these teams continue on in this tournament. But I mean, that is exactly the momentum that you are looking to start on for this weekend if you're the Ravens.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was what we expected from the Ravens. This was kind of a business-as-usual game where they needed to come in, they needed to be clean and kind of just, stomp as well as they could. But to Myth's point and to your echo, I did see some high points there from the GIobe Storm. I was very impressed with Shipigami this game. He was able to get a pretty good lead and still be a threat to the Ravens despite being, a bit down elsewhere on the map. And of course, there was some good setup from the tanks on the side of the Storm as well. So I think, all things considered, there were some high points to look at. And if you're trying to survive in this tournament and come back through the losers bracket, still high points, right? It wasn't a complete negative. It wasn't a complete wash here. It was just a tough matchup, right? Going up against the Ravens, definitely favorites for just about all the fans for them to make it out of this tournament.
Yeah, I mean, I think you get the chance now, right? Those elimination matches happening tomorrow to end the day. So you get the chance now also to watch your game back, watch the games for the rest of the day, see how these teams all across the board are really interpreting this meta, and try and edit your game plan to come out stronger in the elimination match. I think if you're the Ravens, though, a lot of focus towards the solo jungle combo, right? Haddix looked completely unstoppable on this Achilles. A lot of great executes, and then Scream, just this Maman, right? Saw it banned out in game number 1. Maybe there was a reason that it got banned out in game number 1. You'd like to think that, that's a pretty strong pick that Scream once again gets to have a bit of a field day on. 9-3-10, 7-1 and 8. That solo jungle combo is something we're going to be looking at all weekend.
Yeah, Scream drops, a ton of kills in both sets combined. So I think you're right. The jungle solo combo here from the Ravens was a force to be reckoned with. Not to mention, Ben was in a great matchup, as we highlighted early on. It's not like GIobe was going to be able to do much early game on this Zeus, and even late game when he wasn't quite getting dove as hard as we thought. The Zeus was staying alive, being able to get damage off. Very difficult to be able to match the amount of pressure that Haddix and Scream, and of course throw Hurriwind in the mix as well. Essentially a solo laner on the tier was still just getting to the backline and setting up for the squad. So very nasty combo, and that's the kind of gameplay we expect from the Ravens.
I was frankly pretty impressed with the tier from Hurriwind.
Look good.
We'll see what the actual solo laner's opinion is. We've got Haddix standing by for an interview.
You know what? I'll just ask him based on that. How do you feel about Hurry's tier?
Honestly, I didn't see it too much, but I'm sure it was beautiful. I was too busy, too deep myself, but I'm sure it was doing great things.
Yeah, he got the job done, right, alongside you. I do want to rewind time though, because I got Vin's perspective on it. The Fire Giant steal that happened against you guys in game 1. It ended up having like 50 HP, I believe, after his ult. So I'm kind of curious, like from the not mid laner's perspective, what were your thoughts on that moment? And what were the comms like?
I saw 53 HP. I'm not really too sure what happened. We do have a Cuckoo. They have a Baba. I'm pretty sure Yemoja one stole it. I mean, listen, that's why we're in the qualies, right? We're getting warmed up, all right? We're going to get that secured nice and warmed up for Worlds. And, it's going to not be 53 HP next time.
They're not going to know what hit them next week by the time the year set up. I also want to know, game 2, the Storm are off to a start similar to what you guys got in game 1, right? 8 minutes, 9 minutes, 2,000 gold. You guys get that gold fury, and it feels like it nullifies everything that happened in that game. Were you guys worried after the early game happened, or was there never really any concern?
I kind of doubt anyone was really concerned during this set. Me personally, I was not concerned at all, even though Steven was 0-7, I'm pretty sure. And I also heard my duo lane get first blooded. But, listen, I'm not concerned. That's what you need to do. And, clearly there's 0-7, Steven pulled it out. So.
You know what? 0-7 Steven got the job done, right? And his hands, again, rough so that your hands can be nice. Well, I guess you were also really deep in a lot of those team fights, so maybe that analogy doesn't work anymore. Congrats on the 2-0, man. You move forward in the bracket. We'll see you again later this week. And we'll send it back to the desk.
Cool, calm, and collected there from Haddix. Steven Zapman Zappis, 0-7 to the win. And ultimately ended up with 2 kills, I believe. So he did get there. He got some. I mean, that's the Zapman passive. We were talking about it. That's the player that you bring to the
All
table.
I want to say is if you thought Haddix wasn't worried, I bet you Zap was twice as not worried. That is his element. When
rolling under the tier 1.
Yeah.
Oh, you know he was feeling good. We got brackets for the rest of the weekend. We can take a look at what matches we're going to see. That win for the Ravens going to put them in a win and go to SWC situation. We'll see that match come Saturday, I believe. We got Gilded Gladiators next Mambo. That'll be up later today here on the A side of the bracket. On the other side of the bracket, we've got our matchup coming up next. The Camelot Kings going up against the Kowloon Wardens, I believe, and that should be an interesting one. There was there's some talks about the Kings being down here, right? They obviously would have liked to make it in that earlier qualifier stage. The previous match, right? They're actually going up against the Scarabs. It's my mistake. But against the Scarabs, they're going to have to look clean here if they want to continue and build some momentum for themselves.
Yeah, I got to sit down with the Kings before the break, and it was all about just, hey, we're going to spend this time to lock in. We have a lot of mistakes we know we need to work on. We're going to spend this whole time just, ironing out and trying to get back to that Worlds caliber team that you guys saw last year. I do think that we're going to see an uptake. It's not as if they're going to be, falling backwards in this case, but as you said, Solar Scarabs are a scary squad. You can't come out just, hoping to get through by luck. You need to play concise smite, smart smite, which the Camelot Kings can do. I'm hoping that's the version of the Kings we see today because, again, you can't go in just hoping you're going to get through, but it's by skill alone. The Scarabs, they've got that as well.
No, and especially we saw it last year, right? The EU SCC teams were those 2 SCC teams that we saw come through the Worlds.
Yep.
Solar Scarabs. Definitely a matchup you got to pay attention to. It'll do it for set number 1, though. Stick around through the break for set number 2.
Love's for beginners, ain't no witness. It slips through your fingers. I ain't telling no lies. So F all the drama, F the karma. Just do what you wanna. Promise you got time.